llama!
Hello, and welcome to the Saladcast on Saturday, the 14th of October, 2023. I'm your host, Dan Train. Joining me today, Zachary Burgess.
Get married in a tower.
And Robert Kemp.
And maybe sight a llama. Maybe
sight. And maybe look at it with your eyes.
Maybe sight a llama, yeah.
From the tower?
From the tower, yeah.
Actually, was that... Oh, no, it also had bungee weddings, right?
Oh, was that...
It was llama sightings, bungee weddings.
Not bungeeing llamas.
Not llama weddings.
What was the building? Was it like the town hall or something?
No, it was the fake Sears Tower.
Oh, okay.
Whatever that was called in the game.
Do you know it's called the Willis Tower now? Not like the Willis building in Ipswich. So it's like
but it's not really a
building in.
But it's not really a tower, is it? It's like four
floors.
Building
in North
Wait, no,
America,
hang on. No, I don't mean the Sears Tower. Do I mean?
What do you mean?
Wait, no. The building in Simpsons is more like the Space Needle.
Oh, that thing. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. That sounds right. That does sound right.
Is it the CN Tower is the one in Toronto and the Space Needle is the one in Seattle? They're sort of similar looking, aren't they? I don't know.
Pretty similar.
CN Tower's probably a lot bigger.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of a tall tower with like a
dish
flare out, dish bit where you hang out in.
Also seen in World in Conflict. Because I guess that game takes place literally at that place. Yeah, that's not a fake one, that's the real one.
In Seattle. That's the real Space Needle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stick some infantry in it and fortify that shit. And then watch as it immediately blows up, because that's what happens whenever you put infantry in a building.
Yeah. They get up there pretty quick, though.
I'm sure they're not in the top part, although that would be way more useful. Or maybe if you fortify a sniper in there, because those have special...
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
I think there are certain build. I don't know if it's actually a specific theme, but I think that it happens in the story of that game where there's a sniper in an actual I guess it's sort of like an industrial chimney stack, and that gives that sniper a really good view. But I'm not sure whether that ever comes up anywhere for real.
Right. Yeah.
Whether that's actually a bonus of tall buildings in that game to give snipers better angles.
Hey, we got that good quick this time. It's a podcast about video games.
Because you talked about llamas. You can't not talk about SimCity if you're talking about llamas.
Has there ever been a game with a heavenly llama, though?
Probably.
I mean, Llamatron.
Yeah, Llamatron right? Basically might as well be heavenly llamas.
I don't know. They're just laser spitting llamas.
The rapturing goddamn everything in that game. All those people, and then you wow into whatever the hell comes next.
I actually played Robotron this weekend, so,
so even more llamas happen.
Not the knockoff.
not the Jeff Mint. Llamatron was a Jeff Minter joint, right?
Yeah. I think it was a conscious copy of clone of Robotron.
Yeah, and a good one. Which
it makes it superior if it's got llamas.
And throwing some bonkers sound effects and, toilet rolls, and you're onto a winner. And
because llamas have acidic spit, right? That is a thing, defensive thing, right?
I don't know if it's acidic, really. It's probably just full of a whole shit ton of gross bacteria that you don't want anywhere on you.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's not like you brush that through your hair and then your hair's going to be super shiny in the morning. It's... Well, maybe it would actually. Maybe the bacteria would burn some rubbish off the surface of it.
Or maybe the bacteria are shiny. Just coat your hair in bacteria.
What have you? I'm really ill. What have you caught? I've caught the shines.
That's some kind of female hospital disease.
Yeah. I've caught so much shines. What's going on, guys? How you doing?
How's Zach doing? More to the point.
Foot updates.
Still marginal fat foot going on. The problem.
Fat foot.
But apart from that, probably not any diseases. The antibiotics were done, and then there was when the antibiotics were coming to the end, and my foot was still pretty badly swollen, and I was just like, so did we actually kill the disease or not? So we're about to find out. And then it was fine.
The
disease didn't come back immediately, which would have been the problem.
disease. Did they tell you exactly what it was in the end? Or
Well, no. I mean,
just an unknown infection.
yes, it's just an infection that gets into your tissues, and that's all that disease name means.
Mm.
Who knows what specific bacteria it was? I don't expect they even do know that. What they probably know is like what version of penicillin they poured on it that killed it, and that's probably all they know.
Yeah, yeah. There's probably no more subtlety required.
No.
Good.
Maybe good. Still very annoying. Still having to, currently still not wearing my normal shoes still. Even though I probably could have got away with it today, but I still don't want to like put any extra compression on it while it's still a bit fucked.
Squeeze on that bacteria. Give it the squeeze.
I don't know why it's taking so long. That's the annoying part. And I don't know why it's the foot as well. Like the foot was not the part that was infected. The leg was the part that was infected.
Oh, right.
And then like the swelling went from my leg into the foot, but not like the actual infection went into my foot for some reason.
Yeah, I guess there must be like some like tissue cavity, like just the cavity, or perhaps there's like some segmentation,
or like
something of that.
Or like maybe when the leg got swollen, because that contained more blood, it just put more downwards pressure on the foot as well, so the swelling progressed downwards naturally, even though I was lying in bed most of that time.
Yeah. Is that one of the reasons they tell you to put your feet up, like try to let it sort of go back up?
They never did tell me to put my feet up, but you're in a hospital bed, so you don't really have much choice.
Yeah. And generally that's the advice of anything that's sort of like in your foot, right? Is to like elevate it.
Well, I mean, it depends whether you want more or less circulation. Sometimes maybe you don't want to elevate it.
Elevate them tootsies. So you're off your like food regime.
Yep.
And your sleep schedule's back to normal.
Well, kind of. So I just keep waking up. It's like I got used to it, I guess.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But I don't keep waking up at that time or anything. It's not like I've ridiculously got very precisely used to that, where I'd wake up at like exactly 4 o'clock or anything. I just wake up early, too early.
Wait, too early.
But it doesn't seem to have like. I'm not feeling especially tired. Well, maybe today.
Oh, I'm shattered today. Because we went to EGX. And also, to hell with you, London.
Well, I mean, that's the natural reaction to London. Tiredness and to hell with it.
I don't think that place counts as London.
What, the XL Centre? Like, it's just this weird, like, bubble. Like, is it like some sort of embassy in the middle?
Well, it's in the middle of nowhere. That's why there's so much space to build it, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, but there's only like one good route in and out, which was the problem we ran into last night. It took what should be a 1.5 hour drive, like, I don't know, perhaps escalate that to 2 hours for London under normal conditions. Took nearly 4 hours. If you get unlucky in London, you get really unlucky. We were there for a very long time. It was painful. You know what I was saying? Like, was it not that many weeks ago about the UK infrastructure is balked?
Did you consider taking the public transport?
Yeah, but it would when you're transporting like more than one person, it suddenly costs like maybe 5 times more to take the train.
Oh, I suppose.
Especially if we were to come up to EGX on a Thursday morning, right? That's peak time.
Yeah,
that's like a 70 quid ticket from Ipswich or something ridiculous.
Yeah, fair.
Bonkers money. Whereas I spent probably about 20 quid in diesel
in total. All right, so you're trading off.
Yeah, and
misery for
and then £25 worth of parking, and
And miscellaneous wear and tear on your car.
Sure. Yeah.
An unknown quantity of money.
Yeah. An unknown number.
Yeah, fair. I was just thinking because I got the Elizabeth line from Liverpool Street to XL.
Oh, right. Nice. The swanky train.
Yeah, super swank. It's pretty easy.
That's the thing about London, right? It's fine if you're in London and you use London, but if you're coming from anywhere else, it's a nightmare.
It's true. You've got to embrace it.
It's like, why do so many people have cars in London? It's like,
I don't know.
For me,
maniacs.
as an immigrant to London, like it makes sense, but like I don't quite understand. Also, it's like so one thing I guess I hadn't properly experienced whilst driving in London was I guess the rise of Deliveroo like services means that there are now like a billion mad, like utterly crazy ass scooter drivers about.
Yeah. Someone's going to get me my pizza.
They are the most insane thing I've seen on UK roads. Honestly, they have no fear.
Yeah, it's the gig economy. Yeah,
they're bloody mental, and all of them like are on little scooters. All of them clearly haven't got a full license because they've still got L plates. Because I guess they only did their CBT, and that's all you need to drive a scooter. Right. Crazy. It's crazy. I'm amazed. Like I'm just like they zip up the middle of traffic, and of course in the middle of a jam, like people are trying to change lanes. I'm amazed none of them. There were several occasions where I thought I was about to witness a death. Like,
oh my god,
it's just insanity.
But I need pizza, so
yeah,
they need to drive their scooters like crazy.
Yeah, I guess it's the only way. Like as opposed to. Because all the crazy people with cars are just blocking the roads.
Sometimes they're on bicycles, but mostly they're on scooters.
Yeah, that's what Deliveroo normally is, right? It's bicycle, but...
Bring back the drones.
Bring back the drones, yeah.
I mean, for Dan's case, where he could theoretically get on the roof of his building.
Well, I mean, I've got like a balcony.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it could actually land on my balcony. There's probably enough room, to be honest. That would be very convenient.
It would have to be a pretty big-ass drone to be able to carry a pizza. A large pizza.
Yeah, and it probably, to make it efficient, it would need to be able to carry several at once, right, and do a few deliveries rather than
maybe.
I don't know if they have the capacity to, but any like food is relatively heavy.
Yeah,
right? So it's
water content.
Yeah,
I reckon they'll get there.
It depends whether people want the constant noise of.
Yeah, that is the problem.
That'll be the problem, and they probably will crash. Right? If scooters crash and people get hurt, no one cares apparently. But if
the drone falls from the sky,
if a pizza falls from the sky,
yeah.
Oh, my lucky day!
if you catch it.
I just want the insane scooters to all go electric. That's the main thing. Because they're annoyingly loud, those two-stroke engines or whatever.
That is true. I mean, they probably should. They absolutely should. But also, they should have a few lessons.
Yeah.
Well, you would think that probably they should, like, not let everyone on them without an actual license. You'd think that would have been regulated at least by now.
Well, maybe that's a prerequisite for being able to pick up that sort of job. But I guess like you don't. I don't know how did like people like Uber and stuff must vet you before they let you onto the service to some degree, right? You can't just You must have to submit a license, a driver's license of some description. But like I guess.
I think they have the same model where they think they do vet them, but they have the same model like Uber and Deliveroo where you don't work for them, you work for yourself. So they can get away with a lot.
Sure.
So you don't actually.
But
work
you wouldn't be
an Uber driver.
You would have thought that regulation would be like at the company level. That would be at the government level, surely.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that is just because. Yeah.
Well, there would have to be a vetting process, surely, because otherwise it's like you can't. They can't legally put you as a customer of theirs into an unsafe situation, right? With like an unlicensed driver or something like that. They wouldn't be allowed to.
Well, they're not licensed like with a Hackney carriage license, are they? Because they're not actual taxi drivers.
No, but you know what I mean? Like Uber still couldn't do that, right? If they were facilitating unlicensed drivers.
I mean, I guess that depends on like how.
Oh no, driver's license they definitely need. Yeah,
I guess it depends on like how obfuscated the system would be if you were just like if you were literally just. To put it in almost a video game-esque way, like the mission board, and it's just like you don't know who's taking these missions, you don't know what they're doing, just as long as the mission gets done.
I mean, they do track everyone.
But it's not too far off.
Yeah.
I mean, but basically, they're a middleman that arranges the trips. They don't Yeah.
In fairness to like the actual taxi firms kind of work like that. Jobs come in and then they'll put I've seen it, they put them out on their mobile. They'll have like a mobile system, and then it'll be like, can you do this? And that driver goes, yeah, I can sort that out.
Yeah.
That's not quite the same as like an anonymous version of that.
No, but it could never be anonymous. Nor should it be.
But you made it.
Yeah, made it back. Made it there. Getting there was a pain in the ass as well, but not nearly as bad. Not because of London, actually. That was just the A12. Screw that thing. It's just a straight line from here to London that is constantly roadworked to hell. Oh, there were 2 road closures on the A12. That didn't help us get home either. Two separate road closures. Thanks, guys. Should we just get straight on it? Should we just talk about eggs? I don't know if I've got a lot of other life chat to talk about this week other than this. Like I've not seen film. Oh no, I did see a film. I saw a film. I went to see a moving picture. Well, I didn't see a moving picture. I didn't go to see a moving picture. I sat on my couch and put a moving picture on the flashy box.
On the flash box. Okay.
The Little Mermaid.
The new one,
the live
presumably.
Action.
We go watch the old classic.
I still don't understand why they're doing these. These live action.
You mean still doing these?
Yeah.
Maybe you might have understood it at the start.
Well,
the first couple.
Yeah, like Lion. What was it? Which one was first? Was
Jungle
it
Book?
Lion King? Yeah, it was either that or Jungle Book. One of the two. And it probably was Jungle Book actually. And it's like I still maintain the tech is impressive, right? For that, especially. I mean, less so here because it's just like it's just people this time around, right?
Well, half people at least.
Yeah, mostly just people. And I just don't see why they need to do it because it's basically like they're taking the original, they're not changing very much, and just making it worse. That is all that's happening here. I don't understand why they need to do it. It's it just loses something in the translation. Like the you can't rely on like the animation side of things to make the characters like Sebastian like as fun as they were in like the actual things. I haven't seen Beauty and the Beast, like the remake of that, but I wonder if they run into the same problem of all the like dancing cutlery or whatever.
Yeah,
of course they do.
Yeah, because it just doesn't. They don't. Although Disney seems to be leaning too much into this, like we want it to look photorealistic element, and like they lose the cartooniness, and it's like you're friggin' Disney. What are you doing?
Yeah. Although I would say that possibly in the case of the dancing for cutlery and whatnot in Beauty and the Beast, even in cartoon form, they weren't really that personality. It was pretty much just dancing cutlery.
I don't know.
Apart from the ones that were actual characters, obviously.
Yeah, the teapot and Candleman.
The general giant dance scene, though.
Oh, sure.
Lots of generic.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same.
Objects jiggling around.
It's the same problem in Little Mermaid, right? The under the sea sequence, right? Where it's like. But even that makes even less sense here because they kept the lyrics mostly the same. And there's a sequence in that where it's like they're talking about the various creatures playing musical instruments. And in this sequence,
they don't.
None of them do. Yep. So it doesn't work. It's a stupid film. Just if you really want to watch it, just go watch the animated version. It's better.
Yeah, but that's not why you would really want to watch that.
Better.
Yeah,
they're all better. How could they possibly improve on the animated versions of these?
I don't know. You do something.
Redo the animation again.
Well, you do something different because the one that has worked for me is Mulan because they changed it. They didn't sort of like you don't. Mulan doesn't have the little tiny like Eddie Murphy dragon guy anymore. They reworked it so it's live action now, but they grounded it and changed it so that grounding works. Okay. There's a little bit of supernatural stuff going on, but they took the idea and properly adapted it right to the media they were working in. Something they seem to have just neglected to try and do in all the other attempts.
But I think in Mulan's case, you could get away with cutting out the fantasy part of that, whereas in like the Little Mermaid, the whole thing is fantasy.
Yeah, I guess. Like I wonder if they like took Pocahontas and probably like and took the same approach. That might work okay, right?
Yeah, but I don't think you can do that topic nowadays.
No, probably not. probably not.
I was watching Red Letter Media the other day, and they were thinking about the meeting that is probably happening, or probably many, many times in Disney at the moment, where it's like, step one, we need to make money. Okay, we're doing a sequence of remakes of already like known IP, so we can't go wrong, right? Doing them in live action.
Yeah, I wonder how much actual cash that's bringing in.
I'm sure it makes. Sure, it's a lot less risky than trying to make something actually new and creative.
Maybe, but I wonder if
some old thing.
Maybe, but I wonder if it's a declining market because of the quality's not been hot.
Maybe,
right?
But they wouldn't keep doing it if they weren't.
No, it's probably still profitable, but I wonder if it's not like Disney level profitable. I'm sure.
But they're getting to the point where they'll have to do Snow White, but they can't make her white. And also, they can't have dwarves, right? Because it's doubly politically incorrect. So what are they going to do?
I mean,
they just won't do it. They just won't do it.
They're like,
I think you can totally get away with dwarves. Just like it's a fantasy race. You can that one you can swing.
Also,
do you think?
Also, I don't know if like dwarves is like necessarily a derogatory thing, right? That's just who they are. Like.
Well, the problem would be like, what are you going to do for actors or whatever? Like, you're going to
live action, yeah.
Are you going to do real casting, or are you going to fake it? And which one of those is worse?
Right. Because I'm sure people out there are going to. I mean, there's question marks over Little Mermaid in that respect because like they do the thing again. Should really point out, not against this, but they do the thing where they like severely mix the race, what human races are up. So all the mermaids are different races, even though they supposedly come from the one dad and things like that,
right.
and one mum. And it's and then in the royal family, they sort of skate over the fact that the queen is black and that the prince is white, and it's like and then they're like, oh no, I wasn't born into this. Oh, okay, right, cool, you've caveated that, you got around it.
Right.
Okay, fine. Like
they throw in a line.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They sort of figure ways out of it. I'm sure some ways it's like, well, there was no need to do that. It's like you're breaking that. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It's rubbish film anyway. Like,
yeah,
who cares?
Just one more bad decision for the file.
Yeah, well, it's not even a bad decision.
Well, one more decision that they had to work around for the file.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
The one thing I've heard is that the actress is very good.
Yeah. She puts in a performance. Yeah, that's. I mean, as much as it's exactly what you'd expect, I guess, from that role, and a classic, clean Disney singer, I suppose, is what you would say.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Nails it in that respect.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who the guy was, but he sounded a lot like the lead singer from Bastille. So you're into that kind of singing, then then you get some of that. Maybe it was Bastille guy. I don't know. He's branching out. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't. They need to stop. I don't know. just or make something else. I don't know.
I mean, like, what are they going to do when they run out? We're all waiting to see it.
I mean, what's left? Did they do Cinderella? I think they did Cinderella, right? Or was that like almost a direct-to-video thing, or did they go back and do one of like the sort of the spin-off?
I mean, there has been like many Cinderella direct-to-video sequels, but like not sure about the modern remake one.
I can't remember that.
Yeah, are they actually running out? I mean, they've got a lot, haven't they?
Yeah, there are quite a lot, but like Bambi. Come on, they're going to do Bambi, aren't they?
Yeah, they'll do Bambi,
and they'll do it in the photorealistic style. Yeah. Yeah, that seems like an obvious one.
Well, I mean, it seems like an obvious one, but maybe you'd hope that they would have learned not to do that specifically.
The Disney own Watership Down.
No,
that would be great. That would be the best fully live action realism movie.
That'd be horrendous.
So much.
Render that as in the high detail as you possibly can.
Oh my god! I mean, that's brutal, even in cartoon form. Yep. Yeah, I don't know. Well, what have they got? There must be loads. Maybe they go back to like Sword in the Stone or something. They did they tried the Sorcerer's Apprentice, didn't they? But they checked that was one that they went they wildly changed it because it was like in New York or something rather than being medieval. Remember the one with Nick Cage?
Obviously.
No.
It wasn't that bad.
It's sort of the same, wouldn't even be that much of a problem, I guess. Most of it. You have some animal sequences, but like just like that would make sense for them to just be like normal animals.
Sure.
In that specific case.
Yeah, Robin Hood.
Well, Robin Hood, that's an interesting...
That's an interesting one, isn't it? Because it's like...
Because there are no humans in that.
Yeah, and you wouldn't be able to necessarily...
the furry one.
You wouldn't...
So how do you do that?
Yeah, you wouldn't necessarily be able to do that in the Lion King or Jungle Book style.
Well, maybe sort of the Jungle Book style.
Maybe a bit more Jungle Book, but like... But all the animals are mostly humanoid-like, right? Like they do the fully walking, talking thing. Yeah, furry, as you say. Anthropomorphic. Yes, that could be an interesting one. That would actually probably be like the one where they'd have to swing to the direction I'm talking about, right? And be a bit more animation-y.
Make an actual remake.
Yeah. Like maybe they still do it in CG, but like just lean into bit,
I've just brought up the list of Disney animated films, and of course it gets a bit weird around the Second World War. So it goes like Snow White, and then you've got Dumbo, and then you've got Victory Through Air Power.
Oh.
Yep.
They already did Dumbo as well, didn't they? They did that.
Yeah, they did Dumbo with the what's his name? Oh God.
Man, woman, lady, girl.
I mean, I would definitely be enthusiastic for them to remake the World War II movies. What the hell? Why not? That'd be pretty ridiculous.
I'll stand back. Yeah, that'd be pretty weird, wouldn't it? Aladdin was okay. I'll give them that. That wasn't much of an adaptation, but
mostly people again. Yes.
Yeah. And they didn't change a lot, but they had to obviously change the Robin Williams stuff to Will Smith stuff, and depending on your opinion on Will Smith, that's whether or not you're going to like that film or not. But he's no Robin Williams.
Obviously.
Squalor. This is a podcast about video games.
Yeah, I guess we managed to talk about movies forever.
Section.
Yeah.
Yep, I think it's probably video game time. Don't think you want to hear about the movies I've been watching. Fucking.
that sounds worse than I think you meant it.
I'm watching like miserable stuff. We need to talk about Kevin. I don't think we need to talk about that. Yeah. We need to watch some more light-hearted Disney stuff.
That's pretty much all we watch around the house these days.
I started watching Chernobyl as well. So cheery.
Oh, I do actually kind of want to watch that.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah. Video games. What's going on?
Eggs is going on. We were at Eggs.
I thought that eggs. Isn't that a Magic the Gathering deck or something?
Oh, yeah.
I learned yesterday.
No. Kippers was trying to explain the eggs combo.
Which I don't understand yet, but I will look into it. How does eggs work? Yeah.
What is eggs? Yeah, EGX is happening. It's happening right now, in fact. Like we were at it. Well, I was at it for Thursday, Friday. Dan joined us for a bit of the Friday. So it's more low key than it was back in 2019 or wherever it was we last went. Like, I don't think it's had the COVID recovery particularly. A lot of the big players aren't really there anymore. Like Microsoft aren't there if they're big old booth. Sony aren't there. Sony used to have an enormous booth, but they're not there. Props to Sega though; they turned out. They pretty much had everything they had. Like, but 2 Yakuza games. Both Like a Dragons were there. Sonic Superstars was there. They put on the Atlas stuff as well, like Persona 3 remake or whatever it's called, and Persona 5 Tactica. They were all there. Props to Sega for still turning up. So it's slightly weird, wasn't it? Because it was way emptier than I think I've ever seen it. I know they did a show last year as well, but that was the dodgy year, I suppose. Like going to that if you're at all COVID worried. Yeah, so a bit of work needed, I think, to bring it back to its splendor. Even the indie section seemed smaller than it has been. Still a good time. Still didn't nearly do enough of it, really. So let's talk about what we did do. I played both of the Like a Dragon demos.
That doesn't seem like a particularly good time investment, really.
And what do you mean? Well, because I'm going to do it anyway at some point.
Because you're going to play like 60 hours of both of those games, probably.
Well, yeah, in several years' time.
Sure.
Because I'm so
but
far
also,
away
you
from
kind of
it,
also sort of know what's already going on with them.
Well, I don't know.
Well, one of them, anyway.
Yeah, they're a long way away from the story I'm at. I've still got 0 and 6 to play before I even start getting close to them. And 7, technically. I guess I don't need to play Ishin if I'm timeline worried. Anyway, I thought the Infinite Wealth demo made way more of an impression than the Man Who Erased His Name demo. They kind of pushed them in different directions, because it's like the Man Who Erased His Name was the demo for that was mostly focused on the new combat, the agent style combat. So I mean, it looks flashy as hell. It feels as slick as it ever has done. Except now, when you're in agent style as Kiryu, you can hold down button and weird stuff happen. So if you hold down B, for instance, he stands there and has a little bit of a smoke, flicks the cigarette behind him, cigarette explodes in a sort of cool guy fashion. Or you could hold down Y, and all of a sudden a swarm of drones appears and starts pestering the enemies. And of course you can do like the weird spider cable thing that we've seen in the trailers, and then throw people around a bit. It's all kind of nuts, all kind of mad. And as usual, they somehow pull it off. I mean, the demo is there's one really stupid thing that in classic Yakuza Like a Dragon style doesn't make any sense. Like you're approaching this boat from a helicopter, and this boat it's an enormous cargo ship. What on earth could be happening? And it's like, why are you bringing me here? Kind of stuff. Then you land, and then this massive door opens, and inside is basically a version of the underground like gambling place in called Purgatory in the game. And so there's look like fireworks going off and like bright colours and a fighting arena at the back and a model of Osaka Castle and stuff like that. And then the camera pans out and you can see all these fireworks and things were visible from where you just were flying. And it's like...
No, you won't say open the door. Though.
Yeah, as soon as they open the door, the whole place turns on and it's like, but there's people here. Yeah, it makes no sense. But whatever. It was kind of fun. But yeah, I would say Infinite Wealth made more of an impression just because this. Obviously, I haven't played 7 yet, so this was my first sort of foray into the turn-based battle style. And I think it really works. It's an excuse for them to be like ultra flashy with the moves and have really weird mix-ups and stupid things happen. Like one of the characters, you can do a tag team battle, which basically is they basically do a little bit of a tango and just dance around, and as they swing in their legs, then they're hitting enemies with it. And it's like, this game just seems to be filled with like the more comedy side of Like a Dragon, and I'm down for it. Like I'm down. It's great. I got to play there was a mini game in it where called I think it was called Crazy Delivery, which is basically Crazy Taxi, but you're also Sneak King. From the Burger King games, on a bicycle, trying to rapidly deliver fast food to people whilst doing tricks, of course. And it was quite funny. And for the love of God, I hope they don't localize what it said when you hand over the burger to the waiting person, because it was in the most Japanese voice saying English. So it's like super crazy delivery. It's like, please don't change that. It's brilliant.
Burger get.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. That was. In fairness, those 2 demos were probably some of the most fun I had at the show. And it's like, yeah, I knew what I was getting into, but also those games are so good. They're so good. And like, if you've seen the trailers for all the stuff that could be in these games, they're going to be enormous and they're going to be ridiculous. The number of old Sega arcade games they're throwing into this is phenomenal. like loads of old callbacks and old references. Like Sonic the Fighters is turning up in The Man Who Erased His Name, and Daytona 2 is apparently turning up in Infinite Wealth. Like they do a better job at representing Sega's history of games than Sega themselves do. Like just by bundling them into these things, like as part of the world. It's madness. It's utter madness. Sega should just release these damn things. Like
I think they already have, though.
Sometimes, yeah, but they're not. A lot of them aren't very accessible on current consoles.
Oh, sure.
Like Sonic Fighters, I think was in one of the Sonic Gems.
But that just gives them an excuse to sell it again.
Yeah, I guess, but they don't. Like not at the moment. Most of these are hidden away. Like where can
you've got to let it rest for a couple of years, and then you can sell it again.
Like I don't think there's anywhere you can play Virtual On officially. Like, but it's in one of the Yakuza games, so there you go. Yeah, those were great. I also played Sonic Superstars over there. The good news is Sonic feels kind of like Sonic. You know, they didn't Sonic 4 it.
Well, I don't think they were getting the Sonic for it.
I mean, they might have done.
Not in a classic Sonic style.
Because it's not strictly Sonic Team that are doing this one, right?
Oh, sure.
It's a different dev, but they did actually manage to, mostly capture the feel, which is good.
Although, once again, as we kept saying all the time leading up to this, it's just like, are they just going to remake the engine every time? They just going to, every time like someone new has to make it again and just be like, you have to get this as close to Sonic as possible, but we're not going to give you this other engine that we already have that already does that.
Yeah, I wonder if Sega probably owned the code that Headcanon wrote, right?
Presumably.
For Sonic Mania, so they could probably at least go like, well, here's the 2D engine. Here's a starting point. You can work from this. Yeah, I mean, it felt all right. The camera's a bit zoomed in, but that's kind of, I guess that's
just what Sonic's like.
That's just what Sonic is, yeah. Yeah, it seemed okay. Like the reviews for that have come out since then, and like the general consensus has been like, it's fine. Like it's a sevens sort of Sonic game, so it's not Sonic Mania level. The bit I can't quite get over is the fact that there's 11 zones, so it's like nearly twice the size of a normal Sonic game, as it turns out. But it's still like £55. That seems like a lot of money.
Are they trying to make the classic excuse of like, but it's 4-player now, so you're paying a quarter of that?
Yeah. Well, apparently that multiplayer doesn't work that great.
No, of course not.
Like that, it struggles to, the camera can't decide like which one person to follow, that kind of thing. Something that Super Mario Wonder kind of has a solution for, a very basic solution for, that we'll talk about in a bit. For me, like the most egregious thing was that some of the reviews have said that the music is really good. I can't honestly recall that being notable in that demo in the slightest. I was just like, it's fine, but it's not like a catchy Sonic jam that we're sort of used to, right? It's like there was nothing notable about it at all for me. The one new thing they've added that is these emerald powers, I suppose. So once you've got a Chaos Emerald, you can at any time pull up a wheel and activate a power. So in the demo I played, you could get the water power, which turned you into Water Sonic, which meant you could then merge with waterfalls and basically Zora armor your way up them. So you could, whenever there was a waterfall, you get in it, and that you could get to the higher path that way. I don't know quite what the other powers are or how they'll get utilized. The wheel looked like there was more than 6 of them, so I wonder how many Chaos Emeralds there actually are in this game.
It also seems like, how often are you going to get use those things outside that one level? If it's very specifically waterfalls, that's not going to come up very often. Presumably,
there's sort of an energy bar that I think like replenishes when you go past star posts. So it's like they are. I suppose it is like you're probably going to be able to use 1 power per like little segment of the level, potentially. So maybe a little bit of caution is required, or a little bit of.
Well, that's not what I meant. I meant like how many levels are going to have waterfalls.
Well, yeah.
If they've made this one specific power for this one specific purpose, it seems a bit limiting for their options. Yeah, like if there's 6 things there, but you can still only use one of them in the level you're in, there's basically 1 thing there.
Well, I think there's like a from the review footage I've seen that there is a water. Obviously there's an underwater level, or level with underwater bits, because you've got to do that. And using the water allows you to swim for it to an extent. Sonic can swim now. So I guess there's like multiple uses for them, hopefully. I don't know. Not as bad as I was expecting, let me put it that way. Still, I don't know. I just can't justify that amount of money for...
No. Wait for it to come to Game Pass somehow.
Oh, it never does, though.
No.
Like Sonic games don't come at Game Pass. It's really frustrating.
No Frontiers yet.
No Frontiers, no Sonic Forces. Just no Sonic games on Game Pass. So what else we got? I checked out, or you watched me check out Resistor, which was that car PG that was announced back in SGF. I kind of like its vibe, but that demo didn't really show you much of what the actual game was going to be. It gave you a feel for the driving, which is seems to favor like being super high speed, kind of like not really about the cornering per se, but there is a little bit of drifting you can do. I think it was a developer, or I don't know if it was a developer or just a P-Cube marketing guy telling me about it, but he was like, they're trying to summon the feel of like the early Burnout handling and things like that to get you in, but then giving it a sort of like anime look and things like
Presumably
that.
They don't literally mean early Burnout, they mean like Burnout 3.
Yeah.
Probably.
He did say Burnout 3.
Oh, did he? Okay.
He said Takedown, I think, so.
Oh, okay. But
yeah.
Okay, weird choice. Like, if you were going to pick one, you'd say Burnout 3, right? Because Takedown's the same.
Well, but if you only played that version of Burnout 3, you wouldn't know it by any other name.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, so I mean, super early it seems, but we'll I'm interested to see how that turns out. Kip has of course made us play the Star Trucker demo because he likes Euro Truck Simulator, and this seemed like trucking well, again, demo was quite limited. It let you truck a crate from a container from one place to another, and then you drive to a.
But that's the whole game for Euro Truck Simulator.
Oh yeah, but it's in space now. So there's not really a road you're driving on. You just sort of fly. There are like lanes to drive through, and then dock with a space station, and that was it with the demo. So that was a little bit finicky because you had to the docking ports on the back of your truck, so you had to kind of spin it around and line it up, and then look away from what you're looking at to then go and push the switch to activate the hitch, which is basically magnets in this game. And there was a hint of narrative going on, like the other truckers were talking to each other over the radio and stuff. So I wonder if that's what this game really is going to be. It's going to be some sort of like narrative through line rather than, I don't know. It's hard to get a feel from that, but Star Trucking. Yeah, probably my favorite game name of everything at the show. Yellow Taxi Go Vroom. Can only be described as like a super frenetic PS1 graphic style platformer where you're a wind-up taxi. You don't have a jump particularly, you just have the power to sort of slap yourself and make you go like super fast. And it's like it's bonkers quick. The writing in it is like super tongue in cheek. You're taking orders from a guy called Morio who looks a bit like Mario. And like the level in the demo was a bit like Bomb Battlefield, in that there was a giant bomb on wheels at the top of a massive hill. You can sort of see what they're doing there. It was quite good fun, actually, has to be said. Like it doesn't look like much, and it doesn't sound like much as you're explaining it, but like the feel of it is kind of mental and fast and super vibrant. And when you're doing like they're a crazy taxi, like again. Like pick up people and drop them off things, and if you do that real quick, for some reason it would shout psychotic at you, and then give you. But like I think you're doing the levels within a time period because the spring in your car only has a certain amount of juice, so you need to be doing jobs and finding power ups to keep your spring time wound. Yeah, could be interesting. Prison City. This was a NES like run and gun. NES aesthetic, limited color palette, that kind of sound thing. Doing the Shovel Knight thing, I guess, but for slightly slower paced run and guns. Contra-esque, but not quite Contra. And it sort of nails that, but to a fault, because I found it was pretty hard. And when I did like some boss sections, though, it was like too hard and too random, and like I don't know if I don't know. I didn't really get a good feel for it. I didn't really like it, if I'm being brutally honest. But if you want some nostalgia, it does nail that old stuff. It's exactly like how I remember the games of that era being, but not necessarily in a good way. Big shout out to Death of a Reprobate, because that made us laugh probably more than any other game we played. It's a point and click adventure, where basically the entire art of the game is like old paintings just ripped out, like a bit like a Monty Python Terry Gilliam cartoon section. And the writing is very childish, very puerile, but also very funny. Yeah, it's real stupid. Like, you can just go up to any bird in the game and you sort of look at it and it goes, "It's some kind of bird," and then you clap and try and see if you scare it away. And sometimes weird stuff happens. There's a room we walked into with nothing but babies crying, and of course in the corner, because it's like, I guess art from that era was super weird at times. There's just a woman wiping a baby's ass constantly, like.
Okay.
Then you go into another room and it's like an art gallery, but it's run by monkeys. And the monkeys are painting pictures and stuff and things like that. It's and there's my favorite. I mean, this won't even be in the full game, but you can get like an idea of the tone. Like, we tried to go into the forest, and the forest people were like, "Oh yeah, you can come through. We've got no problem with that." It's like, yeah, dude, this is a demo. We can't just let him through. It's like, you can't let him see the entire game just yet. So, oh right. Piss off, chum. Just like. Not afraid to drop it. Yeah, I don't know. It was dumb. Like, there's moments where there's just one guy in the background, like holding a big rod with a red arrow over someone to like indicate this is someone you need to do something for. And you go and look at him, and he's just like, "Please pretend I'm not here." And, and it was a picture of, I think it must have been a picture of Jesus or something, because the subtitle under it was just "Our Lord?" ?
Our Lord.
Yeah, it's real. It is. I love its vibe. Very funny thing. Yeah, so keep an eye on that. Should we talk about Super Mario Wonder? You played that with me.
Sure.
It's a Mario game.
It's a Mario game.
The Super Mario game, more specifically.
It is a Super Mario game.
It's a new Super Mario game. Yeah.
We played as the Super Mario Brothers.
We did.
In fact.
How boring.
Yeah, we didn't check out the Yoshi or the Nabbit gameplay, because that seems like the lamest
obviously.
part of the game. But I suppose I could have been a Toad. But I want to be Luigi and give you the death stare.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it seemed inventive. That's the idea, right? Within the formula.
Yeah, I guess.
It handled fairly nicely, but fairly familiarly.
Oh, yeah, it was exactly like how you expect, basically.
How you expect, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to actually talk about Wonder. Like, I've been thinking about this for a bit, and it's just like, what do you add? How do you add to the conversation what we've already said? It's like Yowie Zowie isn't great. The slight 45-degree look to the camera isn't great. I don't like that either. The talking plant, which thankfully you couldn't really hear much in the demo scenario, probably seems annoying. But I think one thing I did notice about the game is there seems to be more hidden extras, hidden secrets and things you could find. Like, you just step on a thing and a thing will happen, or there'll be a hint that this tree can be stamped on, and then it will catapult you into the sky. Or you need to flatten it out to make a path for one of those bulls that was in that early level we played. There's little hints of like weird stuff you could do all over the place, I guess. I don't know whether that's necessarily a good thing, or if it just makes it more chaotic rather than intentional. Do you know what I mean? It felt denser, I suppose, I guess is the word I'm looking for, than maybe a Mario game normally does. Like just more happening all at once.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, definitely denser. Yeah, which is kind of cool because Mario's slower pace than a Sonic or something, so you have the room to increase the density.
I guess
I would say
you have the room to
like
annoy your friends by skipping things by accident.
Well, yes, that does happen. Sure. So Wonder's multiplayer system is it basically assigns one player as the king, and the camera follows them. So if a player gets too far off screen, like it effectively just kills them and brings them on in the sort of bubble state, so you can rescue them. Which, for better or worse, I suppose that means one player at least can guide everyone else. But if the other players just want to get on with it, then they've got to wait. And I don't know. That probably seems like it's more successful than Sonic's system by the sounds of it. At least it's clear what it's doing. I did like the new animation for pipes, though. Like that was like the coolest thing, I guess. Like the sort of little cheeky look they did as they came out of pipes. It'd be like, what's over here? Or the fact that when you go into a pipe, there's like a mysterious hand that just grabs you and pulls you in. Except for when you're like in elephant form and you sort of squeeze your way up there. We got players in elephant. I mean, you're just big and you get to smush stuff. That's really all that means. And you get water in your trunk, which did very little. I think there was a couple of points where you needed it, but to do something, but didn't seem like it did a lot. It's probably good.
Yeah,
I think you know exactly. Yeah, I think you know exactly what you're getting into. Whether it's
I'm definitely up for it. I think it looks cool.
Yeah, whether it's like up
good.
there in the pantheon of Mario's, I'm not sure it will be, but like,
yeah. I don't know. It's nice to have one that doesn't have some kind of twist, like the Super Mario 3D Land or something, or like Mario Maker, or. And I never liked the new Super Mario Brothers aesthetic, so I prefer this.
You prefer this aesthetic to
way more. Yeah,
I'm not sure I agree with that. Like, yeah.
I don't have to.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Of course I don't have to. No, of course I don't have to. No, I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. There's something more. I think I've said it before. There's something more Flash-like to me about the current look, the new look, as opposed to the new in a star look.
I think they look a bit more like they're in the environment than on it. I don't know, in this one.
I don't know. I think everything looks way more. Maybe that's intentional. I think everything looks more like 2Ds, so like they are.
Mm.
So maybe they're in it in the sense that they look the same as the set, I guess. Whereas perhaps they didn't look like the set in the previous model.
Yeah,
I can sort of see that. Maybe there's a gelling of that, but inconsistency. But I don't think they needed to like label. I still don't think they needed to put all those like labels on it, so it's like good whenever you pick anything up, almost, or whenever you stamp on a Goomba. I don't need you to tell me it's good.
I didn't find it super distracting, but yeah,
it's a little bit annoying.
Just points.
It's just points.
Yeah, it's just points.
It says good instead of saying 100.
Not even points. Mario hasn't had a score since like.
Yeah, but the numbers still came up. And actually, several of the new Super Mario games did have a score, right? At the end of the level, it would just tell you the score for each character.
Would it?
Yep.
Like Mario 1 did, and maybe went as far as Mario 3, but didn't they? Oh, no, that was in Super Mario as well. Super Mario World had it.
I was talking about new Super Mario.
I don't
it definitely did. One of them, at least.
Like an actual score?
Yep.
Like I thought they just
straight numbers. And it ranked you by who got the most at the end of the level.
I thought it was just like coins. Or like...
Well, I mean, I'm sure the coins give you score.
I don't remember that at all in the... Well, New Super Mario's U was the last one.
Right, yeah. I mean, I'm sure I'm picking this up from one of them, and I don't even know which one.
Yeah.
It's just a thing I've seen at some point.
Okay.
Because I didn't play any of them.
Well, it's not here.
No.
There are no points in this one.
It should just tally up how many goods you get. It's like, good times 15.
How many tights do you get? Extreme. That's Super Mario Wonder. We also saw Sam Lake's stupid face.
Harsh.
It's a pretty stupid face. But it's also a great face.
I mean, that's all that Rob needs from faces.
Yeah. It's an entertaining face. How about that? Is that fair?
It's definitely weird to see Max Payne walk on stage.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, he was cool. Interesting talk, I thought.
Yeah. He was there to talk a little bit about Alan Wake 2. Nothing. I wouldn't say anything hugely revelatory, but he's a fairly he's fairly cool guy.
Been able to be in that position for years, right? The creative director of Remedy, and still with a few ups and downs, but still going strong. And still doing new things, even though they have a style.
How do you feel about Alan Wake 2? Did you play Alan Wake 1?
Yeah, I did. That was a bit frustrating in places, the actual gameplay. I hope they've...
Yeah, because he talked about that, right? It's like they ran in... They realise that now that they ran into the problem where the game doesn't really change. Like, as you go through the combat, there was too much combat and it didn't really evolve over the course of the game.
Yeah. Bloody batteries. Energizer batteries. Yeah, I'm hoping it sounds like this has got more variety and things happening. And it sounds like games like Control play a lot better than Alan Wake ever did. In terms of actual gameplay, so I'm sure they'll bring that too.
I don't know that they will bring that to hit this.
No, not that, but just the sensibility, I guess. They were talking about, somebody asked a question about the camera placement and how it's so claustrophobic and close in on purpose because it's a slower paced game. Horror game where you actually don't want, you can't see everything makes it scarier.
And you're not super powered in this one, unlike
exactly.
Unlike Quantum Break or Control. It's like that's not what these characters are about. Although I guess you could argue like Alan Wake has some sort of superpower because he can write what's in the dark place. That's not a spoiler. That's just what.
No, that's what they've been talking about.
That's this game's whole premise. Dark place.
Did you see? That just reminded me that this is totally not related to video games, I guess. But did you see the the Star Trek parody on that specifically?
What, Dark Place?
Yes, the name of an episode.
No,
I caught this on YouTube.
What's this?
I forget what it's called. I think it's like Parth Ferengi's Heart Place. And I was like, really? You're going to reference that in Star Trek?
What was this
Star Trek?
Was this in like the more recent stuff?
Yeah, I think it's Lower Decks, maybe.
Oh, okay, right.
But like, that's a hell of a reference.
Yeah, no one's going to get that. I don't know about us.
That's amazing.
Parth Ferengi's Heart Place. Okay.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
Good use of the name Ferengi as well. Very helpful.
That's probably what someone was thinking of. They must have just started at that point, right? Nothing else sounds like Ferengi. Wait a minute, I work on a show with Ferengi.
Anyway.
People keep recommending Lower Decks to me. Maybe I should give it a try. I don't know.
Yeah, Kippers was talking about it, wasn't he? Yesterday, briefly.
I think my brother likes it.
Coming soon to TV section on this podcast.
Yeah, potentially. I don't know. I need to watch the actual
That's on Prime, isn't it?
season 3 of Picard, right? That's supposed to be good.
Yeah, Picard season 3 was good. Yeah. Lots of, the obvious nostalgia. Like we're just going to throw everybody at it, but it was good enough.
Yeah,
definitely lightened things after the sour taste of season 2.
1 and 2. Yeah,
One was okay.
It was not. It was okay. Anyway, video games.
Anyway, news. Well, I guess more news. I suppose this was all news.
Oh yeah, well, kind of. Yeah,
Kind of.
Previews. I had fun. Anyway, that's the important part. That's the important thing. Not that any of you enjoyed whether or not you liked hearing about this. It's whether I had fun.
Whether you enjoy this podcast or not, doesn't matter. We do it anyway.
I had fun.
Yes, indeed that.
Accurate, yeah.
What else is going on? The Activision, Blizzard, Microsoft merger, acquisition thing, deal. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. The CMA finally approved, the UK's CMA finally approved the deal with, I think we talked about this like a month ago or something, after Microsoft like rejigged the deal to be like, well, our cloud we're not going to run the Activision games on our cloud service. We've sold the right. We're going to have to sell off the rights to streaming of Activision products to Ubisoft, which I still think is a very strange. Like, what even is that? I don't even really understand.
Maybe that was the trick. Maybe they did that because they didn't think the regulators would understand it.
Well, no. Well, and
then it won't actually happen, and they'll be able to get away with it.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, because I guess they won't be able to put Call of Duty on xCloud or whatever it's now called, game streaming. They won't be able to do that. There'll be no Crash Bandicoot or stuff like that. But maybe that means Ubisoft might put out cloud, as they sometimes do for Assassin's Creed games, right? Cloud editions.
Yes, I mean that was
for Switch.
That would be what I would assume.
Call of Duty Cloud Edition now available on Switch.
They're going to use the Ubisoft cloud technology.
Yeah, I guess.
For as good as that may or may not be.
Yeah, I don't know. Because Capcom did that for Resident Evil as well on Switch. Yeah, I don't know.
And by the sounds of it, they're going to get rid of Bobby Kotick for the cost of $300 million.
I suppose that's not a lot in the grand scheme of the deal, but also, ugh.
Yep.
Also, I mean, it's good that he's gone.
Yes, but that's why, is it worth $300 million? Maybe.
Did you
$300 million of Microsoft's money, I guess. But
yeah. Ugh. Yeah, at least hopefully he'll be out of video games forever now.
Or he'll become the new CEO of Unity.
Oh, God. Right, yeah, because in other news, John Riccatello's out.
Yeah.
Right?
He's out.
As he should be. And let's hope he never turns up in video games again.
He'll go back to EA. Somehow.
Probably.
Maybe he'll go work with Don Matrick at
yeah.
I forgot what they're called now. That mobile games company with a logo that's basically a dog. I think the guys that bought Words with Friends. Anyway, I can't remember. That company. Yeah. So the deal happened. Get excited for Activision games to turn up on Game Pass at some point, I guess.
Yeah, after all that legal news, there's no more to talk about because it's just done.
It's just going to happen. Well, yeah. Well, I guess we'll get to find out what actually happens as a result of that. As I say, what drip feed we get on Game Pass of new stuff.
I mean, presumably it's going to be a lot like Bethesda.
Yeah, I guess. Which in fairness, they jumped on some of the Bethesda stuff pretty quick, right? When that deal went down, like Doom turned up pretty fast, and I actually don't know if Skyrim ever turned up on that. I don't know if they did. Anyway,
I think maybe no one cares about Skyrim this way. Wait a few more years and then remake it, or not even remake it, release it with upgrades.
Right. Again.
Yeah.
20th anniversary.
Yeah, probably.
20th anniversary edition. So there's that. As I say, Unity kicked out John Riccatello. Sony announced a new PlayStation 5, the Slim Edition, for $50 more than the regular edition, which is weird. Because normally the idea of these things that they put these slim. I mean, it's no secret they normally put these slim models out because it's actually a cheaper manufacturing process now.
Yeah.
So or they found ways of improving in the thing, so they actually save money in making them, in doing this. But maybe they didn't this time. I don't know. It seems a little bit hard to justify the adding extra $50 to it. Like, or maybe that's the thing. Maybe they realized that the original design was just way too massive and cumbersome, and it's like, oh, you'll pay that $50 premium so it can fit under your TV, bitches.
Right, so it actually fits. Yeah.
Yeah. God.
I mean, I had to get my TV unit specifically to be able to fit a PS5.
Right? Yeah. It's ridiculous. It shouldn't be
one of the criteria. Yeah.
Shouldn't be in this situation. And like to the point where if you want it to stand up now. Like, if you don't want it horizontal, that you've got to buy a $30 stand because it doesn't come with it in this version now.
Oh, because it had a converting stand in.
The stand the stand that comes with the big one can do either, right? But if you want the new one horizontal, they give you this little like Perspex peg that you can put under the edge where it's thinner, and that will just hold it up. Apparently, like it clips onto the front and looks really ugly, rather than have the stand for it to sit that way. Or you can stand it up if you buy this $30 thing. It's, I don't know. As far as slim redesigns go, this seems like a bad one. Yes, it is smaller. It is a little bit smaller. I will give them that. But maybe the PS5 design wasn't all that great in the first place. I don't know. And the other big thing is this: like they're selling it as they're selling basically the digital only version is the version you buy, and then you can optionally, for an extra $80, I think they said it was, put the disc drive on it. So they've actually made that so that's now modular now, which is an improvement. I will give them credit for that.
That would only be an improvement if the system cost $80 less to start with, rather than it being $80 extra on top of it already being $50 more expensive.
Yeah, I don't know what the difference in price between the regular PS5 is and the digital version. I don't know what the difference in price is. I thought that was like $50 anyway, right? Something to that effect. So the fact that it's $50 more for the slim version and then another $80 on top for the basically it's $80 more now.
Yeah,
is what it sounds like. And we haven't had UK pricing or anything like that for this, so but expect the worst. It's probably £80 more. That doesn't sound like a good deal. I don't know. With Spider-Man 2 coming out, like I did kind of start thinking about, maybe now's the time I get a PS5, but I don't know. And then this news of a PS5 Slim comes out, and I'm like, oh, maybe now's the time to get a PS5. And then they announce the pricing of all this stuff, and I'm like, maybe not.
Well, maybe it will be time to get a PS5 when that price goes down.
Yeah, or maybe like people will buy this version because it will fit in their state, and then eBay off their old console. Or something. So
all that.
So maybe that market will get reasonable. Any more news?
Oh, breaking news.
Breaking
news. Bobby Kotick is leaving Activision Blizzard.
Literally what we just talked about.
Yeah, we did talk about that. Yep.
So we've got to, because that's part of the deal, isn't it? Of the
yeah.
Because the Activision Blizzard deal has finally gone through.
Yep.
Rocket League
I wonder
news.
what he's going to do next. Because he's been there for like 30 years or something, isn't he?
Oh, God, yeah. Well, yeah. It must have been. I don't know when he joined, honestly.
I wonder what his golden like parachute would be like.
What does that mean? Like, what was that?
That's what we literally just talked about. 300 million. That's what we said.
No, he's not getting 300, is he?
Is that what the golden parachute means? I don't know actually what that phrase is.
Basically, what it is, isn't it? You leave and you get paid a bunch.
Yeah, to keep you so that you can float down into your next position.
Severance. But yes, we literally did talk about all this. Let's move on.
Is that going to be all their stuff going to be in the Game Pass like now?
Why are we having this conversation again? For real?
We did this, Dan. Did you miss like 20 minutes?
No.
we literally did talk about this. This is a fun
bit of a podcast. Rocket League news. They're getting rid of item trading, like in-game item trading between players. Like then items, there's no longer going to be any trading at all.
It's not Activision, though, is it?
What? No,
this is Epic.
This is yeah, I guess it is Epic. Yes,
but he's not going back to.
Why are we talking about Rocket League news?
Why are we talking about Rocket League news?
Because I'm moving the podcast forward onto a new topic. That's what I'm talking about, Rocket League news.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they get rid of the player trading for some. Well, the weird thing is, like, so the reason they say is that they're making it like other Epic games where there's no player trading and there may be cross-compatibility of items to different games in the future, which sounds a lot like NFTs, but probably just means like a Steam inventory type thing on Epic, I guess.
I don't know why they would want to do that.
No, I don't know why they'd want to do that, but apparently that, like, the Psyonix devs are saying that that's an Epic thing, which I presume must be Fortnite, basically.
Oh, right. What? So, like, behind the scenes, Fortnite is probably running on a prototype inventory system, and
they might expand that to other games. Or there's other games that already do this, we just don't know about them, which is also possible.
Or is this like some kind of like the Epic cinematic universe where it's like do thing in one game, get thing in another?
Yeah, or something like that, possibly. But yeah, like I say, it sounds suspiciously like NFTs because that was the whole.
Yeah.
That what they wanted to do with that was like, oh, you can have this item in any game because it's a specific item, and then every game can just pick up on that data or whatever.
Which would never happen.
Nope. But maybe Epic wants to do something similar, or maybe it is just like a Steam inventory type thing, only slightly more advanced, where other games can read the same item data. Because, I mean, you could do that with a Steam inventory, in theory.
Sure, yeah.
Because it's literally just like an item list at a certain point.
Yeah, because all kinds of games lent into that. Like Redout lent into it, of all things.
Yes,
like...
but not there has. I don't think there's ever been any cross-game interface in Steam inventories. Like one game looking at another game's inventory to do something. Don't think that's ever happened.
Was that the... Oh no, because I guess some things looked at your playtime, right? Like, because there was the whole earbud thing. No, not the earbud.
That was Mac.
Yeah,
earbuds were if you ran TF2 on Mac.
And then there was the Poker Night at the Inventory thing that TF2 did, right? So if you had that,
those
game,
are just
then you got the
game
Sam
crossovers.
Yeah, but that wasn't strictly tied to the inventory.
Yes, it wasn't one inventory looking at another. It was your game list looking at other games on that list.
Okay, this gets extra weird, right? Because the whole point in the inventory is it enables on Steam the whole CSGO trade thing.
Yes.
Right? And
the
gun gambling or whatever it is.
Yes.
Like that whole thing becomes...
And in Rocket League, there was like... There was never any... So Rocket League, I guess, was like TF2, which is to say there was a fake in-game economy based on a random item price, like how TF2's in-game trading economy is based on keys, which have a real value, but it's still just an in-game item.
Right, yeah.
But then, so like that's the same as in Rocket League, I believe. And then every outside trading stuff in Rocket League was highly illegal, in sort of similar way to Counter-Strike. Technically, all the outside stuff is illegal, but they don't worry about it too much.
Okay. Yeah, it's outside tools facilitating it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all going to go away, which I'm sure has angered a bunch of people.
I mean, it shouldn't.
No. But like.
It's video games.
I'm also interested in, like, they must have done, like, research or whatever into what this is going to do to the economy, to their economy versus, like, the Rocket Pass.
Oh, what people buying?
Will people go into Rocket Pass less because they can't? If they don't personally want those items, then they're now literally worthless. You can't even trade them to someone to get something you do want.
Right.
Although I don't think can you trade Rocket Pass items? I don't remember. Or were they always player locked?
I think they're player locked. Yeah.
But anyway, even the random drops, those will be untradeable now as well, obviously, because nothing will be tradable.
I'm second guessing myself now. I actually can't remember how that functioned, but I would assume they were player locked.
Yeah, I would have thought so. But yeah, I wonder if there'll be some, or are they hoping that this mysterious cross-game Epic link-up will actually promote the enthusiasm for Rocket Pass?
I mean, they have already done some of that cross-game stuff in Fortnite, right? Because you get a Rocket League backpack.
Yeah, well, that's not the inventory. That's the Steam game list.
That's
thing.
The old system, but they have already done that at least.
Yes.
You basically get the ball on your back.
It does just seem like another weird, like, very late into Rocket League's life change for some mysterious reason.
Do you think we're there? We think we're late in Rocket League now?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I think we've been there for a while, really.
Is the death of Rocket League upon us?
I don't think it's going to be a death of Rocket League. I think it's just going to be the same as it's going to be consistent for quite a long time.
Okay.
As it has been.
So you don't think it's dwindling
No.
Yeah.
Or at least, not noticeably. But it's hard to tell, of course, because, they got rid of all the numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I didn't mention it, but they did undo their change of making the server, whatever they called it.
The rating,
like awesome or whatever. Yeah. They changed that back to wait time, 26 seconds. It's like, well, that's a number, I guess.
Yeah, okay. That's useful. Yeah.
Not the literal player count, but it does just give you an indication.
Yeah, matchmaking time. That's all right. That's respectable.
Yeah. Better than it just saying awesome.
Yeah. Awesome.
That's the Rocket League news.
That's the Rocket League. What? Oh, I just had one of those moments where I'm sure there was some other news I heard, but it's gone. Deep Rock. There's Deep Rock news.
Oh, well, sure, I guess.
There's Deep Rock news. So they... We knew they were working on a season update for the main game. We knew they were working on a Vampire Survivors spin-off game.
Or maybe that's not them.
Oh, no.
Someone.
They're subcontracting it. Yeah, it's not Ghost Ship directly, but there is a Deep Rock other game, in like Vampire Survivors like game in production. But there's another Deep Rock Galactic game in production that is in-house, that is made by Ghost Ship. They've... basically because they were working on something that ended up being too big for, in their words, and something that was too large to be the next season update in the main game. It got too big, it got too ambitious, and they were like, let's spin this off into its own project. So Deep Rock Galactic Rogue Core is a new project that we're not going to see until late next year. Right, until they said it will go into early access.
I don't think they've specifically put a date on that.
Okay.
Although
I thought they sort of implied it was like,
well, yeah,
late next
it's going
year.
to be deep into next year. I mean, the next season update for Deep Rock Galactic is supposedly going to be like a teaser season for Rogue Core, essentially.
Right, but they've pushed all that to June next year.
So that puts like a minimum time limit on when we're going to really see that game, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that's the bad news in all of this. It's like because they were working on it and decided to spin it into its own project, that the season update is horrendously delayed for the main game.
Yes,
so it's which is a shame.
Which I feel like they kept talking about, they want to block out time to work on one project at a time, and I'm just like, so hire some more people. I mean, at this point, probably.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to guess what the finances of the studio are and whether or not that's a viable option.
I mean, they are publishing these other games, not just the Vampire Survivors one. There's like at least one other one.
I mean, that might be part of it, right? Because they'll be pumping money into those other games.
Sure, but hopefully making money from that.
But not yet.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I assume they probably do still have some reserved money from the last couple of years of Deep Rock getting a big boost.
Yeah, the console release did gangbusters for them.
Yeah, and a general enthusiasm that just came up at around that time as well.
Yeah.
Just on the PC side,
it's still. I mean, I guess there's been quite a lot of those co-op shooters in recent years, right?
And some of them have been bad.
This is a little bit like what we were talking about before the podcast about hero shooters, right? There was a phase where everyone tried to make one of those, and then we've sort of been through a phase of a lot of people trying to make co-op shooters.
Yeah.
What was it, Back for Blood, I guess. Dare I speak the name Redfall?
Yep.
There's GTFO, that kind of stuff. That was one of the
better ones.
Yeah. There's been a bit of a phase of that of late, and this one has stuck around for all of it, and is now. I think it's started to bubble. I think as a result, there were a lot of them, and people were like, "Oh, well, maybe I want to play these, but these all kind of suck." And then, Deep Rock Galactic's good.
Yeah, Deep Rock Galactic is the one everyone likes.
Yeah. And I'll sort of talk about another one of those in a little bit later. And Vermintide. Vermintide's good.
Sure. Vermintide was good eventually, I guess. Supposedly,
well, I don't know about the first one. Yeah, I've been playing it like late into Vermintide 2's life cycle. But...
And supposedly Darktide isn't great, but
really?
everyone's hoping that's going to basically do the same thing as Vermintide, where it's going to get better.
Right. You think they'd already know?
Yeah, you would think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm disappointed that the new season of Deep Rock isn't going to come out until June. But on the plus side...
It's a long bloody time at this point.
Yeah. On the plus side, that does already at this point give me a time limit, so I don't have to worry about grinding the season.
You don't have to stress it. Don't have to stress it. That's good. Is that news?
Yeah, I think that might be news.
If we could go back to the Activision Blizzard acquisition by Microsoft, though, for a minute, because that's like the big news this week. I don't understand this. This is the Competition and Markets Authority, the UK thing that gave approval. But in order to give that approval, they had to give the rights to the streaming, which is like a Stadia-style streaming, even though Stadia shut down. They had to give the rights to Ubisoft. Yeah. But then that doesn't count inside the EU. So it has to be outside the EU that Ubisoft can license any Activision Blizzard game for streaming, like Call of Duty and all that stuff,
right,
can be licensed outside the EU but inside the EU, if you own one of those games already, then you get a free license to stream via any of cloud gaming. So it can be on loads of different services. It's definitely not just the Microsoft one. So this, but why is it Ubisoft? The Ubisoft had to bid for it because it could have been anyone, but I guess Ubisoft won the rights to stream Activision Blizzard games.
I don't know that we've been privy to that detail, how that came about. Whether Microsoft just dealt with Ubisoft to say, look, hey, we've made a deal with Ubisoft to offload it.
It looks like they must have gone to Microsoft, or Microsoft must have allowed bids to them to say to the UK regulators to grant them the license to distribute it outside the EU in order to pass. But it's the UK regulators who are in. Oh, of course, we're not in the EU. Oh, yeah, because of Brexit.
Yeah.
But we're not in the EEC. Okay. But they get the rights. Ubisoft get the rights for the streaming rights for all Activision Blizzard games upcoming for the next 15 years.
Yep. It's a bonkers amount of time.
Which I suppose is, yeah.
So why would... Wait. So what... Hang on, now I'm a bit confused. So what is outside the EU? They're not allowed to do it, but inside the EU, that Microsoft is still allowed? Is that the way around it is? So like in America, it would still be Ubisoft running the show, or is it just the UK where Ubisoft runs the show? I'm a bit lost.
So it says if you live in a country that's part of the European Economic Area, then you get free license to stream via any cloud gaming service of your choice.
Okay, so if you're
future
in the EU, then, or the European Economic Area, I guess, which is different from the EU.
Which includes Norway, but doesn't include UK, I guess.
Oh, but doesn't include you. Okay.
No.
Currently, anyway.
Yeah, but signs are pointing to us getting back in, right?
Well, no, they're not.
Aren't they? I thought that was kind of like the swell at the moment, that it's like it might start. We might be trying to get back into that.
I don't think they're going to let us back in.
Gone.
Yeah, but they're not going to let us back in, I don't think, or any other deal. Well, maybe. I mean, maybe if Labour gets in, they can sort it out.
It depends what the deal is, right? Like, if it's beneficial to the EU, they'll let us in.
But this is just specifically, this is the streaming, not in the like Twitch streaming sense. This is the streaming in the
Xbox game
cloud gaming type thing.
Yeah.
Would it be powered by Xbox, like cloud gaming, but licensed by Ubisoft, or is?
I don't even think that's true. I think it would have to be on, because I don't know that there would be too much technical work to achieve that, right? Where there's probably less technical work to put it on a system. Ubisoft already have, which they do already have,
They've already got one. Yeah, Ubisoft Plus is this thing.
Oh, okay, so they actually have a full-on streaming service, because I've only ever heard of them doing cloud editions of games.
No, they've got a full-on one, and then they'll make all the Activision Blizzard games on there, and the next ones for the next 15 years. But it's also available on, like, in the EU, on, like, the NVIDIA on the GeForce Now service.
Assuming they actually do the work to put it there, I guess. Assuming NVIDIA sort it out, or if NVIDIA, is it that they could, or does NVIDIA still have to do that deal to get it right? I don't know. Is it still open?
It's not just that it has to be exclusive. Oh, it can't be exclusive.
It can't be exclusive.
It's that I think it has to be on some of these other services in order for it to be deemed, to the terms of the Competition and Markets Authority.
Yeah, I think it sounds like it makes it sound like Microsoft can't block the other services from getting it if they want, but perhaps a deal still has to be done from these other services to say, NVIDIA still have to do the work to license it essentially if they want it, right? They're not going to just be able to have it for free. It can't work like that. But they've already done the work with Ubisoft to make that happen, right? I think that's what this is implying. That they've already gone away with Ubisoft and said, yeah, we've got a deal to sort that out. But if anyone else wants to, you can. You just need to talk to us, kind of thing, because we have to allow it. But we've still got to sort a deal out, I guess, to make that happen. Otherwise, it just seems grossly unfair to be like, yeah, you guys can have the games for free, whatever.
It's weird. It's such a weird. But I suppose they had to make a concession. But that seems such a. Why is it Ubisoft anyway? It's so weird.
It's a strange choice, but I guess they don't see them as threats. Is probably what it is. Microsoft went to Ubisoft because they don't see Ubisoft as a threat.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Right, as opposed to.
And also, I think they are trying to sweeten the pot because I don't think Ubisoft Plus. Oh, I can't remember this actually. I can't remember if Ubisoft Plus is part of Game Pass yet. I don't think it is, or at least it was separate at one point. So they might be trying to sweeten the pot between themselves and Ubisoft Plus to get Ubisoft Plus in Game Pass in the same way that EA Play is part of Game Pass. So this might actually be like a sneaky backhanded way of getting even more stuff into Game Pass in the long run.
I suppose so. Because are they going to put all the old Call of Duties on Game Pass? Because they're not on there right now. You can't
potentially,
play
yeah. The old stuff can potentially go on. Yeah, I think.
And what else did?
But I don't. Well, that's my understanding. I don't know exactly what the rulings are around that stuff. But
but they're not. They're not Activision.
They're not allowed. Yeah, it is Activision. They're not allowed to put the brand new stuff. I think is the thing. They've still got to let it be sold competitively on other platforms.
They're not going to put Diablo 4 on Game Pass, are they?
I mean, they might. Maybe a year after launch or something. We might see it there. So it's had a I don't know, whatever the phrase is, like a competitive amount of time by which to sell on PlayStation, then it can turn up on Game Pass, something like that. So you might see CODs delayed by a year or maybe even more, something like that. I think that's reasonable and probably what we'll see. But other Activision properties, fair game. They'll probably come.
So this is going to have an impact, obviously. You'll start noticing it in your and combined with the. I guess that's their idea, combined with their refreshed Xbox. Because clearly, from that leak, the refreshed Xbox is more exciting than the refreshed PlayStation 5 that we just talked about.
I don't know. There's nothing really. The refreshers for the Xbox don't really have anything interesting other than they are ditching the CD drive from the X. Right. That's
true.
That's the bullet.
At least
point.
with the PS5 Slim, it has a detachable one.
You can optionally put it back on.
You can add one.
But the new Series X isn't going to have one, so it's going to be digital only. The cylinder, I guess, is the one they were. And I think that's a mistake. I think they should always have a physical method, and so unless they're planning to keep selling the old Series X alongside this new Series X, that seems like a weird choice, personally. Again, that roadmap leak is super old, so it's there's a good chance. There's a good chance none of that is actually true. Yeah,
I guess so.
A reasonable chance that's not actually what will happen.
I wonder if they laid the groundwork, because this has been in the works for so long, this big deal, whether they laid the groundwork for coming in and sorting out the fucking culture at Blizzard and stuff,
Oh, yeah.
Bobby Kotick was going to be fired, like, for well, not fired, but like forced out, basically, for all of the...
They would have never got rid of him, let's be fair. Like, they would put pressure on him, but he would have never have gone, because there's been a lot of pressure on him. And this
is the only way to get rid of him, I guess.
Yeah.
So I suppose they've finally done it.
But yes, I think like Microsoft have generally had a hands-off approach to the story, mostly hands-off approach to the studios they've acquired. They put some pressures on. I mean, this is big, but yeah. Like, it's not like they dabble too much, as far as we're aware, in Bethesda or ZeniMax stuff. They still let them do what they do. I don't know. I'm still watching Psych Odyssey, and it seems like they've been a relatively light touch on Double Fine.
But that really is a different scale, though, isn't it?
Sure, but still, like, it's indicative of what they want to do with their studios. That's true. That's true. So I don't think that's going to be the case here. I think Microsoft are going to be heavy-handed with Activision.
I think
Blizzard.
With good reason, probably.
Maybe not in terms of culture. Well, no, sorry, culture's not the word. Maybe not in terms of like what their development plans are. If you see like the games the group was planning to make or put out and stuff like that, but at least internally with how they staff, the culture side, I think they're going to go like, look, you've got an image problem. This needs sorting out. But whether that, I don't think that will necessarily like skew the project, if you see what I mean. I don't think it will skew whatever they're working on. It won't skew Overwatch 3 if that exists, or Diablo 5, or whatever they have in the works. I don't even know at this point.
Yeah, because they put out all the big stuff, haven't they?
New Crash Bandicoot. That's probably still happening, right?
Yeah. I can't remember. $70 billion for Crash Bandicoot.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 6.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they will bring back Spyro the Dragon or some shit. I don't know. I suppose that did happen, didn't it?
It got remastered. I don't think they made a new one, but
no.
But the remaster has seemed decent.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that's the news.
Guitar Hero, the return of Guitar Hero.
Guitar Hero, that would be so good. I mean, that would be the best thing that could possibly come out of the Microsoft deal. It's like bring back the...
See, now you can play Guitar Hero, and you can also dust off that old Kinect sensor and play it without a guitar.
Did they do that?
No, I don't think they did. No, I don't think they ever did an Air Guitar Hero.
Oh, they just need to bring back the basic controller. Maybe make it a bit less plasticky this time around. It can be plastic, but you know what I mean. A bit less Fisher pricey.
I don't know. It might be too expensive if they do that.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, you want to make it really accessible. I don't know. I missed Guitar Hero. I would totally play that again. I've got space for it down the back of my sofa. I can hide it away. That's fine, as long as it's wireless.
The thing is, there must be so many of those peripherals hanging about, and there are ways of making them work with modern.
Oh, I know, but it's basically retro tech at this point. It's kind of sad times.
It's just so massive compared to like most other like retro controllers.
It's true. Anyway. We haven't been playing Guitar Hero. Sad times.
Do you know anyone that ever had the Rock Band keyboard?
No, I only know the drum kit and the but was there a keyboard?
There was a keyboard, yeah.
I know who had the DJ Hero decks or whatever.
Right, yeah, I borrowed that for a bit. I don't own one.
Yeah, but, okay, I've definitely seen that, but the keyboard, I don't know. Because you can't play, I would like to be able to play the Beatles Rock Band, but it's basically inaccessible, right?
You need the disc.
What a cool thing that was. Yeah.
You need the disc. Kippers.
Have they bought that? I suppose that'll never be re-released, will it, because of licensing? But...
No, probably not. So Kippers had that, I think, and you could in the 360 era of Rock Band, you could load that, I think, onto the hard disk, so it would just be available in the other Rock Band games.
Oh, that's cool.
Because I think they did that with all the like spin-off.
Oh yeah. That's
things.
what you're.
So like Lego Rock Band, for instance, you could just download all the songs and
Right.
the note tracks to your hard disk, and then you could.
So you don't have like all the themed menus and stuff or whatever.
No, or all the
songs.
comedy backgrounds and things they did for those, the specific backgrounds they did for that
they
stuff.
were great.
So yeah, they don't come across, unfortunately, but but you would at least get the songs. So you'd have all your songs in one library was the idea.
Not too bad.
And I think they might have done the work for the most part in the X-Bone variants of Rock Band and Guitar Hero, so you could do that as well. Like, I think Harmonix did a lot of work to make sure that could be ported through somehow. Can't really remember, but I think if you, not if you downloaded them to your console, but there was a way of getting all your DLC at least if you'd actually bought it, like digitally, onto the new versions of the game. So they did that at least, but it's not helpful if you're like us and have the discs. then you actually have to go back to the 360 and do all that.
Yeah, it's the only way. Right, I think it's time for what you've been playing.
It is indeed.
Zach, what have you been playing?
The short period that I need to talk about stuff I've been playing. Played more of Orion in multiplayer, continued not actually making much progress. That game gets to a weird point where you're like, it's like you have this progression through different tiers of minerals, and once you hit like the middle of that progression, you sort of get in this like, it's like a state where you don't want to progress because everything is like, you're sort of waiting for things that you want to initiate at this point, but you don't want to progress any further. Like, we've just built our first station, but you want to build more than one, but that takes a lot of money and time and like, well, depending on how much effort you put into designing the stations, I guess. I spent some time making like a modular set of pieces that you can basically make a station out of real quick. Not sure if that's going to get used or not, but that was more just for me. I was just taking some time doing some design work. But yeah, you get to this point where you're like, we don't really want to move into the next area and the next mineral because we don't feel like we've really exploited everything we can get at this point. But that's because the game allows you to do so much at this point. It's like, now you have the money, basically, to be able to build stations, and we've just introduced like fighter bays and all that stuff to your ships. I mean, there's a new thing in every tier of mineral, like the next mineral up is like teleporters or whatever, but it does feel like at this exactly the middle point of the tech tree of minerals, there's like slightly too much stuff mounting up, but it's not really necessarily linked to the mineral. It's just like the progression of you getting through that game and understanding more of the systems sort of comes to this point where you're like, we need to sort of sit here for a while and just consolidate. I don't know. It's weird. I don't think either in multiplayer or single player, I don't think we've ever got past this point.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's just like we get to this point and then we just stop eventually. We'll see. And then I played a shit ton of Autonauts because I just went back to that randomly. I had a moment where I looked at the achievements and I was like, oh yeah, I never got the last achievements in this game. But of course that means playing the whole goddamn game again because you can't go back. You have to start over. And actually there have been some updates to this game since the last time I played it, whenever goddamn that was, which do make it slightly, more convenient. They added like you used to copy programs by using basically a literal floppy disk where you'd like run up to one robot, copy the program to the disk, run up to the other robot and then download it onto the robot. And then you'd basically have like a big pile of disks somewhere where you'd have your important programs saved. But they basically made a virtual version of that now where you can just hit a button in the UI and just upload it to the database and then download that to another bot.
Oh man, that should be like an upgrade though, right? So you start with the floppy disks.
Well, it is technically an upgrade, but you don't have to spend very long with the disks at all now.
Oh, okay. So okay. Well, that makes sense because you kind of want the discs are kind of conceptually kind of cool.
Well, I mean, there is
but also not very helpful.
There is still technically one reason to use the discs, which is that because the disc is a physical item, you can give it to a bot and have the bot programmatically upload a program to another bot.
Oh, right.
So you can have them, like, when a new bot gets built, you can, like, upload default programming or whatever if you need it to do something.
I see. Yeah.
Which is sort of cool, but not much of a use case for that, really.
Or automating the growth of your automation.
Kind of, but like the way I've been running in this save with my bot factory is like they get built, but then I have to like come back there to install the various upgrades because like at the tier of bots that I have, they have 2 upgrade slots, and like depending on what sort of programming or what tasks they're doing, they might want different upgrades. So I still kind of have to come in and do that manually. I mean, I suppose I could set it up so it makes like a whole line of bots where each different combo of upgrades is represented, and then I can just take whichever one is the one that I need at the moment.
Yeah.
But it's easier just not to do that. I'll just run back there and quickly jam the upgrades in it and then go. Because sometimes I have to come back there anyway, because the programming is like, usually the first thing they have to do is like pick up a tool, which is also right there because it's in my original part of the factory is where all the tools are made. So I kind of have to be there regardless because you have to show the bots what to do physically.
Oh, right. Okay. Just a little bit like the Satisfactory, like you've got to drive the route for the trucks to follow.
Pretty much. But yes, with the new bot database where you can just upload the program, there's also a few other like ease of use manipulations to the programs where like in the bot database you can, if you've got a bot, you can just link them to a program that already exists, which creates an exact duplicate. Or you can download the program, which then it keeps it unlinked. But then you can edit that program without editing the one in the database to like make minor changes, like look at this other building instead of the one that's in the database version of the program or whatever, which you kind of have to do if you've got multiple of the same building. I do find that's kind of weird that they never changed that. Like if you've got like 8 threshing machines that are threshing corn or whatever, you have to go to the bot database, download the program for the threshing machine, change every instance where it says threshing machine 1 to threshing machine 2, which they did at least change to be like a 1 button push thing where you just hold shift and do it once and it will change all of them.
Yeah, like a
but you do still have
rename.
You do still have to do that for like 8 different bots. You can't just have all 8 of those bots linked to one program and then have it like create an iteration of like changing the name of the machine by 1 increment or whatever. You do still have to individually edit each bot's program.
Right, I see.
Which is kind of annoying.
It's not like you can... Would that be mildly... Oh, I suppose no. I was about to say, would that be mildly easier where you, like... I was thinking of like an inversion of control mechanism, like where it's like you specify your variables for the bots program like up front and you just say, no, this is the thresher message, and then it fills it in the programmer where it needs to. Like, would that be easier? Like a layer above of variables that you can then change?
Because the other thing that, like, the other way you could have solved it in this game system is when you're telling them to pick up an item off the ground, it gives an area search where they'll just look for any items within this box that you specify. And if it could do that with machines to say, find a machine of this type in this area, that could sort of solve that problem as well.
Yeah, I guess. So it's like, find the thresher in this field.
But you can't do that. You still, for a lot of tasks, you still specifically have to target a machine and that machine specific output square.
Right, yeah. Because then that might not work either, though, because you'd have to do that for every thing in the program, right? To say, find the thresher in this field, and then when you refer to it later, find the thresher in this field, and then move that, what this field is.
Well, there is a trick to that, though, because there's one way you can do that, which is the area that you define can also be linked to a signpost. So you can literally pick up the signpost and carry the area around.
Oh, yeah, but then
make a copy of that signpost. Well, you can make a copy of one signpost and then link all the programs to that one signpost, because that's one thing you have to retarget, and that would propagate to all the different...
Oh, I see. So the signpost is your variable, effectively.
Yeah, basically. Huh. It's like I use that for my cleanup squad, where it's just like, I need to get rid of all the trees and other crap in this area, drop the cleanup sign, and then they just clean up everything in that zone.
That's kind of cool.
So yeah, that's Autonauts. Maybe I'll finish it. I don't know. I've got about as far as I've ever got in that game again, which is like the metal age, right, where you reach the last tier of robots, actual metal robots, not made of wood any longer.
I was just thinking, there's like a plot line in Detective Pikachu where lumbars carry stuff around, like that,
right? Yeah,
they go to you put a sign down and they go, oh, no, where to go.
That's the Pokemon programming. It's just like the visual programming of the Pokemon.
The lumbars learn where the sign is, and so if they get given a package with that symbol on, they go, oh, no, where to go. Like,
yeah, the metal age it's kind of awkward because much like Factorio, suddenly you are going to have to rebuild everything. Because, like, up to this point, the bots have all been made of wood. Now we're on metal bots. So, completely different bot factory.
Right, yeah.
Gonna have to rebuild that whole thing and reprogram every one of those robots as part of that process.
Potentially trash all your bots and replace them all. Yeah.
I may or may not do that.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of them, some of them upgrade where I could upgrade to make them just better. Like, I don't actually know. It's something I've never actually been able to tell very easily is, like, whether a better type of bot is just inherently better for, like, say, mining. Like, does mining take less time if it's a better tier of bot or not?
Right.
I think it probably does, but it's more subtle in the higher tiers. Like, I think at the tier 1 robots to, like, tier 2, it's kind of noticeable, but I think the higher tier ones do still have an effect. But is it worth the effort? Right, yeah. Of rewriting all of that? Although Miners is one of the ones where you can easily have all their programs linked in the bot database and just clone it. Have 8 of them and all linked to the same one program, and that's fine. Because it only has to look for an area of ground to mine in. No buildings necessary. So yeah, that's all. That's pretty much all I played.
So now you've finished Zelda. Not going back to. Is there anything left to mop up in that thing?
Well, not really, unless I want to try and scour the world for goddamn Addisons.
Right.
But I have still kept thinking about going back to my alt account, the potential sequence breaking attempt. I still haven't got round to trying any of that yet. I've just been having a break off Zelda, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair.
Yep.
Segue. Dan, have you been Zeldaing much?
Yeah, a bit.
Where you at? What's been happening? Tell us your stories.
I'm in a colour. Yeah, I'm on my way to the tech lab.
Have you found the Korok you can catapult into oblivion in there? I mean, you could do that with any Korok, but there's one in particular.
Oh, is there one in particular? Oh,
up behind the horse god. I guess you haven't quite gone that far yet because you're at the stable.
I did meet the horse god, so
yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, he's not far from there. Yeah.
Okay, I'll look out for that guy.
There's like obvious catapult materials near him, and it's just like, don't overdo it.
Not that it's possible to choose whether to overdo it, really.
No, but it's pretty hilarious.
So what happens if you knock him, because he's trying to get to his friend, isn't he? So what happens if you
it's a particular section where the target is up a mountain, right? Or it's up a really big cliff near you. So, but it gives you like planks and one of those self-righting things. Yes. So it's like, well, clearly I need to build a catapult out of this. And
but then you're right on the cliffs of Akala, right next to the sea.
So if you overshoot, like you just fire him into the sea. And I think I fired him far enough where he just basically despawned immediately.
Right. I mean, what do you do if he's just in the sea?
Well, I looked around for ages trying to find him, and then after a while, and then I went back to the spot, and he wasn't there. Like, so it's like, he's got to be somewhere. So then I ended up sort of spending ages like browsing the area, trying to see like where he could have possibly ended up. And then eventually he just respawned, and it's like,
so he did just eventually respawn somewhere.
Right, okay.
So it's like I just threw him into oblivion.
Because in my case, I could see where he went into the sea.
Oh, I couldn't see a thing.
I distinctly saw where he was in the end, where I was like, oh look, there's a tiny dot down there in the ocean. But I never went back there to see if he respawned.
But in context, my catapult was long enough that I couldn't activate it from the other
you were
end.
too far away from the item.
Yeah,
right.
So it was pretty big. But it was very funny. I enjoyed it.
And I think, as we discussed previously about that, maybe here's a tip for you, Dan, in case you do this, which is ride the catapult with him, and then you'll at least be able to tell where he's going.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
Don't try and look at where he's going, because you won't be able to follow it.
Right. I didn't do that because I couldn't activate it. So that was my mistake.
Okay, makes sense.
Was pretty.
Is that using the parts that snap upright or whatever?
The self-righting device thing, whatever the hell that's called. I've already forgotten.
Yeah, is it
stabilizer?
I guess.
Yeah, probably.
How about what's been happening in Disco Elysium? What? Are you racist yet?
Have you fully committed to the racism?
I was mulling it over in my mind, but I haven't gone back to the guy to show off my my race theory mad skills that I seem to have developed. I don't know. But surely knowledge is... Anyway, knowledge is no bad thing, as long as you've got the right mindset. I suppose you get kind of...
But does that guy have the right mindset?
No, his mindset is like falling apart. I'm definitely having some weird visions.
A little bit of knowledge is dangerous. Kind of.
Indeed.
Lol. So is that what you got to say on that?
That's the segue to Rob, I suppose.
On Disco Elysium, yeah, it's good.
Alrighty, I shall. What? I played a tiny amount of Zelda.
Okay,
a tiny amount.
I mean, you played a tiny amount while I was here last week.
Yeah. I played a little bit more since. I haven't done a huge amount because I was playing it whilst attempting to play it whilst attempting to also watch a small child, which is difficult. Unless he's asleep.
Then you don't need to watch him.
Exactly.
Well, technically,
a little bit.
Sort of.
Yeah. So
I got a quest in Disco Elysium to sing karaoke. That seemed to be the key, most important.
Was it back in
objective?
Sorry, was it back in Mitai?
Do some Yakuza crossover.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be cool. I mean, I think you could bring some of the themes to Yakuza, or what is it called now?
Like a Dragon.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty good. If suddenly it just goes into this super melodramatic ballad, like
no.
Banger. Can you call like ballads bangers? Is that? I mean, I suppose people do.
Or call anything a banger.
Or you just have to hold up a lighter and shout tune.
Old school.
Yeah.
I don't think you can call it a banger if it's a slow one. If it's a ballad.
I suppose you could call it your jam, right? It's still allowed, right? It's a slow jam.
Yeah, it could be a jam. Yeah. I don't know about banger.
Jam. It's not got a donk on it. So. So I'm faffing around in the jungle in Zelda at the moment, sort of doing a bit of that. I was
in the south.
Yeah, I was thinking about perhaps doing a little bit. Well, I want to figure out what's going on in the sky because there's that big like clouded area on the sky map, and I haven't been able to work out how you get there yet. So it's
the answer is always just build a flying machine, technically. But that's not what you actually mean. You haven't worked out why you need to get there yet.
Yeah, because it's totally unlabeled. No one's talked about it. Like, it doesn't seem to be affecting much. It's an oddity, right? It's not one of those like yellow markers that the game normally has. Like, it's clearly not a temple because I've done all those. But it's I don't know what it is. And it's like, I was kind of expecting there to be something on the ground to sort of like hint at what it is, right? Because that's how it's always been so far. There'll be something that will be like, oh, what's going on up there? Like, why do I need to do this?
Kind of. I mean, I wouldn't have said like the Skyforge isn't really hinted at any point.
Skyforge?
That weird like spiral tower with the fans on the outside. That's sort of just slightly north of the cloud area.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, there's a shrine up there, but
yeah, it's not.
There was no like thing that pointed that out to you, even though it's one of the larger sky islands.
Yeah, and there's not really anything special there, right?
Not really.
No, it's just a bigger sky island.
Yeah.
But as I say, this one's different because it's got a squall on the map, and I don't know. I'm waiting to find a thing. Otherwise, I don't know. I'd catapult myself up there somehow, like throw myself into oblivion and see what happens. And like it's one of those things. I think there's plenty of stuff on my mind. Like it's like, I definitely want to do this before finishing the game. And then I just faff around in the jungle for ages.
But is that part of finishing what you need to do?
Well, no, none of it's what I need to do, in theory.
What is what you need to do?
I want to go do the Koga quest, right?
Okay, sure. I mean, that could be very quick, depending on how direct you want to do that.
Yeah, I guess. I've done 2 steps of it, I think. Don't know how that puts it. There's probably at least 3 left, I guess, what that means. Or maybe 2. I don't know. I've lost count. what else have I been up to in that? Yeah, I kind of want to do the rest of the like stable, like pen guy.
Sure. I mean, you must be pretty close. To
but I went to the last stable I found and added to the list. It's like he doesn't appear to be there. So it's like, hang on a minute, that doesn't seem right. Like, isn't he at all of them?
The jungle stable.
The jungle one, yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, that's sort of the problem, I suppose. Now, like, he doesn't see,
does the jungle one let you complete another quest that you would have had for ages? Because it's where you find the mystery animals that Zelda.
Oh, yes, they are there. I haven't done that yet.
Because that's a pen quest, right?
Are there. Oh, is it?
Because that's from the stable outside Kakariko in the valley. Dueling Peak stable. I think that's where they first get mentioned.
They start mentioning them. Yeah, because they're on the wall, isn't there?
Yeah.
One of them.
So that might technically be a pen quest, but you might not just be there. It might be the end of a pen quest rather than the start of one.
Yeah, maybe.
That you've just had forever and kind of forgotten about.
I don't remember there being one where I've just left him, right? Like just hanging out.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't actually remember. That's just my theory.
Well, maybe. I mean, I'm going to go see those guys anyway. But
sure.
Because why not? See what happens. Maybe he's just over there.
Well, maybe you just haven't seen him yet.
Maybe he's not at the stable, and he's over by the Don-Dons. Yes, there's a bit of that. What else have I been playing? I forgot to mention on last podcast, I actually got around to finishing Bomber Cyberfunk.
Right.
I totally forgot about that. Sorry, which is probably not a great indication, right? That it's like, but anyway, that game was fine. It's like I have been back to it a few times since to try and because there are a few things you can do after they get like there are achievements for making sure you get all of the graffiti spots in a level.
Right.
There's a couple of places where I have no idea how to get to those graffiti spots, and it turns out there are like so there are three like traversal methods in this game. Like there's the skates, the bike, and the skateboard, and they all kind of actually have a unique trait that I didn't realize. Like they can all get to slightly different areas, but like the bikes are really obvious because occasionally you'll find like yellow garage looking doors over the place that have a big ass bike symbol on them, but it's not particularly obvious that they actually open because if you just ride over there they don't do anything immediately. There's like a little button to the side that you can see like will eventually flash green, but you have to be there quite for a little bit of time and then the gate will open, and it's a little strange.
It's like a weird bike detector.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah. And then you get in there, and sometimes there's extra routes that can lead you to graffiti or some other unlockables and things like that. I'm telling you these because they're not spoilers, because the game doesn't actually really like explain these,
right?
And it's kind of I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. There doesn't seem to be a way to find these out. But there's these little red poles sticking out of the ground in places, and I'm like, what the bloody hell are these? What do you do with these? And it's like, no, apparently the skateboard can just sort of like land on them, and then you spin around on the spot, and then the pole goes up for some reason.
Okay, that does seem the kind of thing that you would hope would be explained by some kind of tooltip or tutorial at some point.
I feel like I've just missed that completely, and I don't know where that was, if it was mentioned, like where it was or anything like that. I don't know. And the skates, like if you do their equivalent of the manual, I suppose, and sort of like just slide on the side on them, that can apparently break glass under your feet. For some reason,
okay.
Because there was a bit where I found there was a collectible I could obviously see like inside like a glass under a glass roof, and I'm like, well, there's other places in the game where I can break glass by like turboing into it. Like, how do I get into the one that's under my feet? So and there's a big tower next to it, so I was like,
jump to your death.
Yeah, basically, I'll just do that. Like, I'll just get to the top of this thing and jump on it from a great height, and that'll smash it. Right? Totally doesn't. As it turns out, you just have to just do this little slide on it, and then it will break the glass for some reason. It's like that one's real stupid. Like I don't understand why that's a thing. I thought like maybe there'd be some air trick I could do or something that would like clearly stomp, but there's none of that. It's a bit of a weird choice. I've only found one place where I can actually do that so far. Yeah, I don't know if I don't honestly at this point. I don't know if I'll go back to much more of it because, like as I say, there's a few of the graffiti spots I don't know how to get to, and I can't figure it out. There's some unlockable areas you can get to if you do enough of graffiti in an area. Then they'll like the old. I think they're literally called the old guys. Will just open up specific areas. There's usually a few more like ramps and rails and things, and a few more graffiti spots behind those, maybe an unlockable at times. And the other things you can do is you can recruit more of the cast of characters to be playable, but they usually have a, as it turns out, very difficult score challenge for you to beat, and they're lengthy. Like they will get like, here, have 4 minutes. You need to beat my score target, and it's go nuts. And those are really hard, as it turns out. Like I had a good few stabs at the one for the Frank's character, for instance, which is one of the earlier areas in the game, and in Versa Hill, I think it's called, and just I can't get close to that target. I managed to get the one in the mall, hit the target for that one. But you basically need a perfect run, like no mistakes through it. But even when I did a perfect run and didn't have a mistake and didn't lose my combo, I still didn't have enough points. And I'm like, okay, what? There's clearly a run. There must be a run here somewhere that makes this possible, but I don't know what it is. But it was just, because it's a lengthy ass challenge, I couldn't be asked to keep retrying it. It's sort of like, nope, I don't know. Moving on. So I don't know that I don't think I'll 100% it, but I will go back to it from time to time just because I don't know, it's got that vibe. And the music's cool. So I'll come back in and hear that song about your ass quite a few more times. What else have we been doing? I started playing Exo Primal for some reason.
Okay.
What is that?
Exo Primal is Capcom's 5-player co-op shooter.
In a
dinosaur world?
Yes.
Kinda. Because I could kind of tell.
Well, sort of. The plot is... I'm here for the plot because it's really stupid. And this game tries to make it so it's like, okay, the more you play the actual like multiplayer game, the more the story unlocks over time, and you can go watch these cutscenes and learn more about the lore of this ridiculous thing. So the setup is you're in a world where a company called Ibius have made this like very powerful AI called Leviathan. And this AI has been building exosuits for combat scenarios. And then one day, dinosaurs.
That covers the name of the game. Okay, good.
Yeah. And then one day, dinosaurs. And this is apparently now like a global phenomenon where random dinosaur attacks can break out. To the point where like the intro sequence has like a weather report showing like chance of dino outbreak. Like it's pretty funny. And it's presented in a kind of like sort of half serious way. Like it looks serious, but all the dialogue is goofy. If you see what it's kind of, if you imagine like how Monster Hunter looks, I guess it's a little bit like that. It seems to be at that sort of level of delivery for things. But anyway, the real plot is that you're assigned to, as a new exo fighter, you're assigned to a team that's like just flying around what looks to be a deserted island, but it's where Leviathan hangs out. If for some reason I don't quite understand how that's a thing, but that's where Leviathan is, on this destroyed island. And then a dinosaur vortex appears near your craft, and you crash land on the island, and then you get pulled back in time. Just you, not the rest of your crew, just you get pulled back in time by 3 years, where the island is still in one piece and the city is still there, and Leviathan is running war game simulations of these exosuits versus dinosaurs endlessly to improve to acquire combat data to improve the exosuits.
So you go into the past to play the game that is the present.
Kinda, yeah. So you're being it's set in 2043, but you're being pulled back to 2040 to fight these dinosaurs in war games that Leviathan is setting up. And then at the end of all of them, you go back to your own time, and then you start talking back to your crew, and then Leviathan will pull you back every now and then. That's the idea, right? That's the setup for you being pulled into like multiplayer matches over and over again.
Sure, but like it's a huge time paradox, hopefully.
Yeah, 100%, and it actually does lean into that.
Well,
like
sure.
It knows it's a paradox. It knows it's a paradox, and then it starts revealing things related to that, and it's weird and goofy, and I kind of love it.
But still no idea where the dinosaurs actually came from yet.
No, like it's implied that like Leviathan just has a fascination with dinosaurs as being like the ultimate.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously he's the bad guy. Like it's gonna turn out that the giant AI was somebody the dinosaurs all along.
Yeah, that's not even. That's not even a spoiler. That is the thing. Like Leviathan is running all of this.
Well, sure,
but nobody knows why. Nobody knows why it's doing this. And it's almost certain that it started the dinosaur outbreaks, right? Because apparently the first dinosaur outbreak is what blew up the island or something like that. And it's like, not at all suspicious.
But is it likely to get resolved in this game?
I don't know.
Infinite multiplayer game.
I feel like it has an end because there is like a progression in the story, and you can see it gives you a straight number of like, oh, this is how much of the story you've got.
Right.
And I've heard some wild stuff about the multiplayer, like, you know, where it can go and the things that can happen. And that's what drew me in. It's just like these are the things that can happen in this. Like, it can just decide to be like, oh, now we're going to a sequence where I'm just going to drop 1,000 dinosaurs on you. Go nuts. But I'm not sure I'm seeing that variety. This is my big problem with it so far. I actually think it's good. I think the core is good. I think the combat, like just the dinosaur fighting, is kind of fun. It doesn't really get old seeing dinosaurs spill out of a portal in the air and just sort of fall onto the floor and then come at you. I don't know. There's just something really stupid about that. That's kind of great. But it's worth explaining. Like, its core premise, like the way it plays, is slightly different. So it's basically a PvE. You get told by Leviathan, go here. Then Leviathan spawns these vortexes and says, I'm summoning raptors. And none of these raptors turn up and you have to fight them. It's like summoning a triceratops. It's like you get told what's going on, or what Leviathan is setting up for you. That all plays out like in a very linear go here, go here, go here fashion, which was a little bit surprising. I thought it would be a bit more open and a bit more sort of like, this is a thing. It's a very guided experience. But then whilst you're doing that, you're not doing that alone. Your team is doing that in a race against another human controlled team. And so every time you complete an objective, Leviathan's like, you are completing objectives faster than the enemy team, or slower. And then at the end, that culminates in a mission where, like, it either goes into another PvE race, but at a larger scale, where you get an advantage, obviously, by still being ahead, or it goes into a PvP battle with the two teams, where, you know, obviously you being ahead in time, getting there, gives you an advantage to secure your objective faster. And that's kind of weird, right? It's like basically my problem is like the variety on the lead ups to those things hasn't been big so far. It's like there seems to be like set paths that you can go down. So when the level starts, it's like, oh, we're on this path again. So I'm going to fight this here. I'm going to fight this here. I'm going to fight a T-Rex here. There's going to be a Triceratops in this particularly open area, obviously, and it just seems to follow that pattern each time. And it's like, well, that seems to be a problem. Like, I'd quite like that to be, but maybe I don't know if that's just because I'm early. I've only played like 5 or 6 matches of this, and, right. I'm already hitting this repetitive thing. But then, like, no, it's a bit more than that. It's probably nearer 10. But then, like, when you get to the PvP always so far has always been this like kart race, like from TF2 style game. We have to like escort this both teams are escorting a data cube, right? But you can destroy the enemy player's data cube temporarily, and then it has to be rebuilt, and so you can hold them up that way. Or obviously you can kill each other, stuff to hold them up, and it's like that's the mode. But I've only ever seen, that's the only PvP mode I've seen, and the only time PvE has come up, it's been just another, like an extension to the normal level, so that hasn't been super interesting yet. And I've only played 10 matches, but I've seen the same paths, I've seen the same PvP levels multiple times already, and I'm like, okay, I feel like have I already hit everything that's in this game, or as I level up, does it start expanding where I play?
Like, have you hit everything, or have you not grinded hard enough?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
Grinded.
Yep. Yeah. There's plenty of suits you can, like. There's quite a few. There's like 9 different roles you can play. I think there's more than that really, but there's quite a few.
But you're doing players like the monster, like in Evolve.
No,
the hunters.
No, it's like the dinos are always well. there is a power-up that occasionally gets dropped in the PvP sections called a Dominator that lets you temporarily take control of a T-Rex. Or a Triceratops. So you'll
throw your cappy onto the T-Rex.
Kinda, yeah. So you get to do that for a little bit, if like every now and then. And it's like, the enemy team has summoned a T-Rex. Expect hostile dinosaurs in your area. And it's like, well,
always,
always expect that. It's I like its vibe, but I'm a bit worried that I've kind of, as I say, I'm hitting this limit to the content already. I don't know. But then that doesn't gel with what I've heard about some of the wild stuff happening, like just some of the events that it picks and people being super excited about what it does. And it's, I don't know, I'm not necessarily feeling that just yet. But we'll see. I might keep up with it. The matches are quite short, and so it's not too much of a problem to dip in for a quick one. What else did I do? Let's talk about Forza Motorsport, shall we? Because that came out.
Oh, hooray! You've been waiting for this one.
Yeah. Slightly controversial, like it seems. Honestly, I don't. There's an awful lot of negativity floating around the internet. My personal opinion is, I haven't played a lot of it so far, but my personal opinion so far is I like it. But it has, I mean, it looks good. It keeps its frame rate super solid. I think the driving feels nice. I think the structure is leaning, I think, in the right direction. There are some interesting ideas at play that I don't think they 100% land. So let me expand on that a little bit first. Like the solo tours, they call them, or the builders cups, I suppose, are. I guess as you're progressing normally, what happens is you won't have the car for the tour you're entering, so you buy that car fresh. With the idea being that as you drive that car more and get used to it, you are earning car points that you then can use to upgrade that car as you progress through the series. And I think that's kind of an interesting idea. Like, start from a low grade car and then upgrade it race to race. In an attempt to stay competitive against the thing, but you can either like let the game upgrade it for you based on the car points you have, or you can go manual, of course, because it's a Forza game. And I kind of like that idea that, like, you know, your car gets better as the series goes on. That seems like it would be interesting, and it's like, you know, a short-term feel of progression. But this is where some of the controversy starts to creep in, because that's not strictly how these tours work. Because if you've already got a car of a class that's available, like, you can just bring those in, as far as I can tell. You can just like, I've already got a good car for this. I don't have to bring in a car with no upgrades. Although I haven't done that yet, but that's kind of what it looks like would probably happen. So that would perhaps break that builder's system. That might not be true. I don't actually know. I don't actually know that bit. But the thing some people have a problem with is, like, in order to unlock the ability to do certain upgrades, you need to have driven the car for a while. Like, cars have their own experience levels.
Like guns in Battlefield 4.
A little bit, yeah. It's not that far from it. Like, so, like, if you want to, you basically have no options available to you at level 1. Then you hit level 2, and then a bunch of stuff unlocks. But, like, if you want to add like a wing for downforce to the back of a car, that's quite a long way up the tree. Like, it takes quite a while to reach the point where it's like, I want to put some aero onto the car, make some changes to that. And it's a slightly weird system in that respect. So if you're more interested in getting competitive online and stuff like that, you can't just go, well, I'm going to buy this car and I'm going to upgrade it like this and I'm going to race it online. It's like, no, you can't do that. You've got to buy a car. You've got to drive it for several hours. And then at that point, well, I'd say several hours, a couple hours. And then at that point, you'll have the ability to upgrade it fully. And that's one of the things a lot of people don't like. That hasn't been a problem for me so far, because I'm super early and I don't necessarily intend to go online immediately. I want to soak in the core game for a bit before I do that. That change to the structure is interesting, and even the races, they're not just like the events themselves aren't just like just go race. It forces you to do I say forces you. It puts you into a practice session first, And I think this is actually great because I think it's like, okay, you're about to do a race on this circuit. Everyone you'd be racing against is going to get some practice time. Here, practice the course. Go nuts. And it gives you a target time to hit as well based on your current difficulty settings, and you don't have to hit that time, but it's like a guide to be like, you should be hitting lap times at about this point if you want to have a semi-decent race. And I think it's cool, actually. I'm enjoying it, especially at this point in like early in the game where it's like I'm learning the courses again, or how to drive those courses in the cars. And I think it works to be like, oh, you're in a new car, you might want to actually get a feel for that car on this track with the upgrades you've put on so far. I think it makes sense. And I do just quite like the driving in this game. So even like without the stakes, just trying to hit the better times is still fun on its own.
Yeah, I mean, if they made the game right, you don't need much apart from to race yourself on time trial yourself on a course,
and that's been working quite well. In the interesting choices start in solo is a bit weird here because they don't then do qualifying. If they were like to fully like lean into the race weekend thing, they would do like practice, quali, and then race. They skip qualifying for the solo game, but apparently online they do have qualifying. So like if you do a race weekend event online, you can do the qualifying step. And the reason they do that in solo mode is to add a risk reward choice. The player gets the ability to pick where they start from on the grid, with the opportunity to gain more money by starting further back in the grid. And the game actually then like gives you a little warning as well to be like, if you do put yourself further back in the grid, it's like it will start saying your predicted position and gets worse.
How well they think you're going to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Predicted
based on your car power and your
right
stuff like that. It's like you're not going to win this, but they you can still do it if you want, give yourself a challenge. And the game is basically saying you should probably aim for getting a podium, because then you get a cash bonus for getting on the podium. You don't have to win; you just have to get a podium. But
it's like too fine-grained a choice. That's like for gamblers.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'd be like, where am I supposed to put myself?
Yeah, I think I would have liked it to have just been a qualifying session to set a time, and then as a player feel like that. If I do better in qualifying, then I'm getting better at the game. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think I wanted to go into this and have it more as a realistic career experience.
I guess maybe like maybe it's true in real life, but maybe not. But if you're really good at setting fast lap times, then maybe that means you never get to race.
No, maybe that's true. Maybe that. I mean, but then they could have had the option for you to like do quali and be like, oh, actually, I'm going to. Perhaps it should have been optional. I don't know, or maybe they should have made certain events like have it so they start you at the back of the grid. Right.
Yeah. I mean, they haven't done this before, and they could have done, right? So they must have. They're just trying something, I suppose.
Yeah,
different.
I think so.
It's odd that you can't choose, right? But I suppose then it would muck up the system because it wouldn't be fair. But I wonder if they think, I don't know, people want to skew towards racing rather than
because there's a way to skip the practicing, but that has a downside because then you haven't driven the car as much, so you won't have got your car level up. So maybe
because that's dependent on how much
you drive.
Driving it. Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, you get if you drive well, then that level will go up faster than if you're driving poorly. But
right. So if they added qualifying in, that would count towards the car as well.
That would also count towards that. Yeah.
Then you'd want to do the qualifying.
Yeah, you'd want to do it. Yeah.
And presumably their objective is to have more racing.
Yeah.
That must be it, right?
I think more racing. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Because otherwise they would have perhaps not done practice, right? And been like the old Forza games where you just go straight in. And
well, that would depend on whether they like saved car points from resets.
Yeah, restart, I don't know if is even an option half the time in these things. Like, I don't think you can restart. You have to restart the whole tour, I think, if you're going to do it. Like, you can't just restart an event, I don't think. You kind of commit.
But, okay.
Or at least I haven't looked for the option. Sure. But I don't remember seeing it.
It's probably good.
kind of like they still give you rewind though, so you can sort of like. Depending if you're
really
playing, unless you're playing on like the hardest rule set, because it gives you a rule set choice as well to be like, oh, you can play more casual, or you can play slightly more hardcore, where it starts simulating more things, like fuel starts to matter, for instance, and tire wear starts to matter. But if you put it on like hardcore, then damage actually impacts the car, and the penalties get more severe. So that's new as well. There's a penalty system. Which they've kind of borrowed from GT Sport, I think. And I think this is a great idea in principle. I think like safe and good racing should be rewarded, and
definitely,
and being an arsehole on track should be should be penalised. The problem is, and I'm not sure that's just
arsehole penalty.
Yeah, exactly. Just you've got to sit in the pits for 5 seconds for being a dick. That's the official ruling. You've got to I don't know. In the very first race I did, the system clearly showed its limitations to me, because the AI decided to just basically sideswipe me. We were driving alongside each other, like in a sort of I wasn't quite overtaking him particularly quickly, but so we were pretty wheel to wheel, as they might say in F1 commentary, and then it just decided to turn into me harshly. It was just like, and spun me round like proper French. Got proper Frenched, to use the pit turn, basically. We used to always call it Frenching, because it used to be French players that used to do it back in the day. I don't know why. It just seemed to always
just
be
in
that.
Your experience.
Yeah, it just seemed to always be that. I always used to get, and so I got properly Frenched by the AI, and I went off track as a result of that. And it gave me a 2.5 second penalty for being off track for too long. And it's like, that seems grossly unfair. Like I shouldn't be penalised for being messed up by the AI there. And there are times where it gives you penalties for what it calls an avoidable collision, and I'm like, well, I don't know, I could have avoided that brake check, things like that. It's because the AI doesn't drive. As one of the criticisms I've seen a lot of people levy at it as well, is like the AI doesn't seem to drive particularly well when it's in a pack. Like the pack seems to slow down quite a lot. So the first lap is always a bit of a challenge.
The peloton.
the peloton of cars, because you're trying to drive way quicker than what the pack is, like, and than what the AI is doing, which has the other side effect of like the guys at the front, the AI cars at the front getting a bit of an advantage because they're able to speed away from it. There seems to be some situational awareness problems with the AI, and I don't know if that's always been a thing in Forza, but it definitely feels a little bit noticeable here, just in the actions the AI sometimes take and just take you off the road, and it's like, you didn't know I was there, did you? And in fairness, like, I guess if you're playing as a human, visibility is a bit of a problem anyway, right? Because it's hard to do visibility properly in a car when you're in a cockpit view, I guess. And the mirrors don't really work that great in actual cockpit view, so I found myself actually like playing in proper hood mode to get like the Ridge Racer style rear view mirror up the top. But like, why don't games do like the side mirrors as well, like when you're in that view as well? Like the side mirrors sound like they'd be useful.
Like screen real estate.
Yeah, I guess.
Or maybe too much rendering.
Yeah, extra camera angles might be a bit heavy for it. I don't know, but it feels like it would be necessary. You can at least turn on like F-Zero style like position markers. So if cars get close to you, that will put a little yellow, a little bit like damage markers, I guess, in an FPS. It'll start putting those on screen to show you where the other cars around you are.
So you get a sense. Yeah,
I
feel like that's fair. I mean, in real life, you'd have more peripheral vision than you do in a game played on TV, so I think it's totally fair to have indicators. It's
funny, right? Because I've recently played. I mentioned on the last podcast. I've been recently playing F355 Challenge, right? And that game actually has some ideas that I think modern sim racers could really learn from. So one of the things that does is, and do you remember old Daytona did this as well, actually, is those games have a radar on screen. So they just literally have a little view of like a box form. This is where your car, this is where the other cars around you are. So you can actually get that situational awareness from a very smaller bit of screen space. They should do that. Yeah, they should bring that back. That's a great. It's a fantastic addition for knowing without having to physically turn your head, like, because you can't, or look at the mirrors that give you that spatial awareness. of just knowing how you should be driving in relation to the other cars. It seems obvious. I guess it's not super realistic because you wouldn't get that in a car these days. But like as a crutch for the medium you're playing in, I guess like it seems like a good idea. I also like how like I kind of wish that they did the F355 3 steps thing that they do in that game. So F355 like encourages you to learn a track in 3 steps. Like do it once and it will give you assistance with a driving line. Do it again, but we'll turn the driving notes off, so you're driving it without the racing line on screen and things like that. And then step 3 is actually go and race. So I'm kind of replicating that myself by like having the braking line turned on when I'm doing practice, and then I'll turn it off as part of my practice session. So I'll start learning how to drive the course without the on-screen guide, because I think the on-screen guide is too much of a crutch actually in racing games. It's like you're not really racing it, you're just following the line. And it's so I'm trying to do it properly and turn that off. But that's a step I've got to do. I've got to go into the menu, turn that line off, like make sure I've like mentally learned enough about the track and my car in order to actually drive it properly, and then go into the race with that turned off as well. And I haven't even talked about the racing. The racing's great. I think it's pretty like you get so much, you get enough control to be able to feel like you're doing like a skillful maneuver on a car. Like I've even attempted things that I've seen in F1, like, you know, they refer to like the switcheroo, right, where you're about to go up the inside line, but so your opponent then comes and defends the inside line, but then you move out to the outside, which gives you the better racing line through the turns. You get a better exit from the corner, and that's enough to then overtake. All of that works. It's great. It feels it actually feels good to pull an overtake on someone, you know, in a similar car class, and it's nailing that feel right. And it's I think the racing's good. The racing's good. Penalty system aside, the racing's good.
Well, I mean, that's what counts the most, I would say.
And presentation-wise, I would say it's perhaps a little sterile. I haven't really played. I haven't played a Forza Motorsport game like since 5 properly.
Which one had the best presentation? 2.
Yeah, maybe 2 actually. Yeah, 2. I mean, it looks dated now, but
yeah, of course,
in terms of menu design and things like that. But 2 had a licensed soundtrack in the menus.
I mean, it had Daft Punkers playing at my house.
Yeah,
I mean, that's like the ultimate menu music.
And it had some CSS in there. It's it was. It was a pretty good soundtrack as well, and it's like this has a very sort of like Forza 5 had like a very like low key bit of orchestra, like slow strings, and it's this is a very very much this one feels like it's got the same thing going on. Like there's like just
I guess they siphoned off all the fun to go into Horizon, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess it's like light touch synths and like, you know, like slow chord progressions.
Where's the cheesy ultra cheese jazz and stuff?
Yeah, come on, man. Like, I mean, I don't want any of that on during the races.
No, of course.
Then that's fine.
No, of course not.
That's fine. Yeah. But when I'm in the menus, it's like pull up the hype a little bit. Actually, you know, it got me thinking. It's like games like FIFA actually do that the right way as well, right? There's not like there's banging tunes during a match in FIFA, but you drop back to the menu and you get some like nice poppy stuff to listen to whilst you're tinkering around with your team or going through menus or setting up the next thing to do. It's like, I don't know, it feels like a missing piece. Like this is a bit too self-serious. Like even Gran Turismo like doesn't do that, right? Because its music is dumb in the anyway, right? Its own menu music is real stupid and bad. But
that's part of the charm. But you don't want Forza to be like that.
I don't necessarily want it to be to try and
cool,
hit that GT vibe. I want it to be a bit cooler than it
GT.
is. But even like the introductions to the like cars in the tours and stuff feel a bit flat. Like it's the bare minimum description of the cars you're driving. Like you go into a hot hatch, a performance hatch kind of like thing early on, and it's just like, oh yes, but they perform well and still have ample cargo space. And it's like just in the most boring voice ever. It's not like it's a Top Gear voiceover or something like that, or even Donut Media who feature in the Crew Motorfest or something like that. They could be spiced up a little bit more, and like don't be so serious. Why so serious? It's too serious.
Yeah, fair.
There's a lot of complaints levied at the game, and I think a lot of them are valid. Like the sim community don't seem too happy with it being. It's not sim enough for them, and they're picking up on a few mistakes here and there, like front wheel drive cars that seem to drive like rear wheel drive cars in places, and I don't know, like some of the handling not being quite right, some of the sound not being right, some of the materials and lighting being a bit off, and in places, yeah, I can agree with some of that stuff. Like there are spots where it just looks a little bit weird. Like I know they've redone it all and rejigged it all, but it doesn't. There are moments where it still doesn't look quite real. Right, I know they're trying, but it's just not quite there. Even with the ray tracing that runs during the race, which is semi-impressive, there's still a lot of SSR going on, like screen space reflections, and all of the problems that come with it are still there, and they can be pretty distracting at times. And some people are annoyed that you can't make a race. Like it gives you a billion options to play with to set up your own like race conditions and things like that. It's like, oh yeah, I want to do this track with this many laps. I want this many cars, and then doesn't let you pick what the enemy cars are. It only lets you pick what their like power range is, and what style those cars are. It doesn't like explicitly let you go, oh, I just want to race nothing but minis, please. Which is one of my favorite things I used to do in the old Forza games. Was just like, I just want to race minis against minis on a tight track, please. Let's go do that. That's not really an option here. I think all the tracks are perhaps a little bit too track-like, if you see what I mean. There's none of the fanciful stuff here. Like there's like I might be wrong in this, but I think the only like not real track is Maple Valley, the one they were showcasing,
the classic original one.
Yeah, there's you don't race in Prague anymore. There's not the mountain course isn't here. That was introduced in Forza 3.
That's a shame.
There seems to like it's all just like go to a real world race circuit. So there's very much like there's just that look to everything, which can be a bit samey. There are cars in the game that the AI can drive, but the player has no way of owning, even through DLC, which is hilarious. Which means that there's probably DLC packs for them coming later.
That's weird.
It's a bit weird, yeah. I've seen some glitches myself where the track didn't load and there was just a hole in the floor. That happened briefly. Graphics weren't too great in places. I've had a few glitches like that. I've had a few motion blur glitches in places where it's not looked right. There's a few signs that this is coming in a little hot. Digital Foundry pick up on a few things, like there's a gamma issue. If you go change your video settings, like it doesn't reset the black levels properly. And the PC version doesn't push it. The biggest thing though is that like it's fallen into the same problem that many games do, and that it doesn't look anywhere near as good as the July reveal, right? So back in from last year, sorry,
because they were trying to show off like, oh look, we've got some ray tracing in game, which they do have,
but it's not nearly at the quality that in the final product that they were showing off there. And even things like just the trackside geometry and the amount of stuff like around in the environment, it's not nearly at the level they were showing in that target footage, I guess, that in-engine footage they showed last year. And you can't even push the PC version to that level. So they've scaled back quite a lot along in the last year, and obviously that annoys people when you do that. It's like it feels like you shouldn't have put those expectations out. Maybe they did have it running like that, and then they threw in the actual game, and it just didn't work.
Well, that was always the problem with that reveal, where it's like, let's look at this river in this car game.
Yeah, and it's like, wow, that looks phenomenal. You're never going to see it up close, but it looks phenomenal. But it's not even that. It's just the reflections on the cars just aren't there, and it's. But yeah, okay, that was a pretty long ramble about where I'm at with that game, and I've not played it all that much. But I think that's
you'll be playing more.
So. I'll be playing a lot more.
It's probably not going to be much different after that first initial reaction.
You're probably true. Yeah, I'll probably be enjoying it, but yeah, I don't think like maybe when I dabble with online, which I will do eventually. Like I might have some opinions about that, and maybe the penalty system will just get straight up annoying. I don't know. But yeah, I'm enjoying putting the effort in at the moment, which is exactly what I wanted out of this.
Like,
I want a game to pull me in and
you get out what you put into these kind of games, right?
Yeah.
But it's a solid one for that, for sure, and pretty as well.
Yeah. It's not bad. Nice. It's not a bad looking game by any stretch. It's a good looking game, but I don't know if it's. I'm going to hate myself for saying I actually don't know if it's as good looking as GT7. Like,
I think they're pretty close.
They're pretty close. Yeah, there's different decisions here and there. Like they take different approaches to things.
Yeah. Well, probably hear more about that next time, I expect. Any others to round off your?
Not that's worth really talking about. I'm still playing Detective Pikachu in small bursts here and there. Nothing interesting is happening. Nothing interesting is happening.
Okay. A ringing endorsement. Okay. I think we might wrap it up there then.
I noticed that F-099 updated earlier, so maybe I need to check in with that, see what's going on.
That's assuming there's enough people playing it, then you.
Oh yeah.
that's what you need.
It's still populated. Yeah,
it's popular. Okay, that's cool. Right. You're going to want to check out some videos if you enjoyed this podcast, because we make those and we put them up on youtube.com.
If your ears are happy, maybe you need to
happy your rivals.
Happy your rivals. youtube.com/happysalad. Something along those lines. What's our latest? We finished off our Let's Play, so you can now watch all of our Let's Play of Beyond Good and Evil, all in a row, all in a playlist. Probably.
Well, by the time this podcast comes up, the last one won't be up yet. But
soon.
Well, it's nearly there. It's nearly there. You can start watching now, and by the time you get around to the finale, it'll definitely be up.
10 hours later.
Yeah.
Don't binge it. I won't be that quick.
And we'll figure something else out for videos, and then we'll be back in a couple of weeks with another one of these podcasts.
Their podcast.
Yeah. With more news and more games.
More.
So we'll catch you then.
Thank you.
Goodbye.